Right. So this question is on vote, right to vote. Representation of People Act, section 62 speaks about right to vote. See, this was a question which was asked in the previous year. One of the years it was asked some 3-4 years back, I think. The question says, right to vote is what type of right? There was a contestation between two choices. One choice says it is a statutory right, and another choice says that it is a constitutional right. Many have given the answer as statutory right. Why? Because if you read section 62 of Representation of People Act 1951, the section's title itself is what? It says, the section 62, it says right to vote. Right to vote. So that is why many chose the answer as statutory right. But if you go and cross check with the UPSC key, they have given this answer, right to vote is a constitutional right, because we have Article 326, universal adult suffrage. So based on Article 326, UPSC has given the official key. So right to vote is which right according to UPSC? Not a statutory right, it is a constitutional right as it flows from Article 326. Okay. Now this is not the question. I have just told you about one previous question which was under this concept of right to vote. Now the question is, which persons and all have right to vote? A person detained under preventive detention. Whether a person who is detained under preventive detention has right to vote? Yes, he can vote. A person who has got released on bail, he also can vote. But a person who is in the lawful custody, a person who is an under trial, they cannot vote. So the answer is C. Okay. Under trial person cannot vote, lawful custody person cannot vote, released on bail can vote, those who have got detained under preventive detention can vote. So the answer for this question is C. Now next polity question is 1616. In India, states have a duty to comply with the executive directions given by the union government. Yes, read Article 365. It is the duty of the states to go by the directives of the union government. Otherwise, it will be regarded as if there is a failure of the constitutional machinery. So, if you don't listen to what the central government says, the state government can be dismissed. If 365 you read, it says, if you are not listening to the central government, you are a state government, you don't listen to the direction of the central government, then it is breakdown of constitutional machinery. If there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery, automatically what will happen? Article 356 will come and the central government can dismiss the state government. So this is right according to 365. Constitution of India mandates the appointment of tribal welfare minister in some states. Yes, according to Article 164, tribal welfare ministers should be there in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, right? Some states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Madhya Pradesh. These 4 states have tribal affairs ministers, and the tribal affairs minister can hold additional portfolio of SC welfare and backward class welfare. They can hold additional charges of SC welfare and BC welfare. Who will hold additional charge of SC welfare, BC welfare? The tribal affair ministers, the tribal welfare ministers in these 4 states, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Madhya Pradesh, they will have to be taking additional care of the SC welfare and BC welfare according to Article 164 of the Constitution. The second statement is correct. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the burden of proof of innocence is on the accused. Yes, definitely this is a correct statement. The burden of proof lies on the accused person according to section 24 of the Act. According to section 24 of the Money Laundering Act, he is having a burden of proof of innocence, right? So what is the answer? This is correct, this is correct, this is correct. All the 3 questions are statements are correct statements. Now come to the 17th question. Dilip Singh Bhuria Committee recommendation resulted in PISA Act. Yes, the Act enables tribal self-rule in the 5th schedule, that is scheduled areas. It will not apply to the 6th schedule. It will apply only to 5th schedule. In 5th schedule, there are 10 states. Okay, so it applies only to 5th schedule, not the 6th schedule. So the answer becomes wrong answer. Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, they are having scheduled areas. 10 states have scheduled areas. Bihar will not have, right? For example, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, right? Like that, 10 states are there. They have scheduled areas. This Bihar will not have. Even Gujarat also will have. So this is wrong. And therefore, answer is 1 only. Now come to the 18th question. No confidence motion can only be moved in the Lok Sabha. Right? Whenever 2 statements are given, like statement 1, statement 2, the technique is this. You read the statement 1, add because, and then read statement 2. Okay, read statement 1. A no confidence motion can only be moved in the Lok Sabha because Article 75 espouses the principle of collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers. Yes or no? So collective responsibility is there with respect to Lok Sabha. The Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha, which is why the no confidence motion will have to be moved in the Lok Sabha. So this is correct, and the statement 1 and statement 2 are highly correlated with each other. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation for statement 1. Okay, I will give you another technique. Read statement 1, then add because, read statement 2. If you can find the continuity in the statements, then the answer is A. Read statement 2 to cross check. Read statement 2, add therefore. Now see, Article 75 espouses the principle of collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers. Therefore, no confidence motion cannot be moved in Rajya Sabha. It should be moved only in Lok Sabha. So this is very well connecting to the other statement. So therefore, the answer will be A. Now next question is after 18, 30. Go to 30. Marriage, divorce and adoptions are mentioned in the concurrent list. Yes. Not registering the marriage cannot be a ground for making it invalid. Just because you have not registered your marriage is not cancelled. So this is also right. Child marriage, although illegal, are not void but voidable at the opinion of the contracting party who was a child at the time of the marriage. Yes, prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 says that child marriages are not void. When they have married, they are children. Children means what? The girl is below 18 years and the boy is below 21. When they marry, they are child. They are children. Once they become adult, when the girl attains 18 years and the boy attains 21 years, either boy or the girl can cancel the marriage. So this is a right statement. Therefore, all the three are correct statements. Then after 30, go directly to 39. Now, right against arrest and detention covered under Article 22. Right to know the ground of arrest, yes, according to Article 22, Clause 1. And you can also consult the lawyer according to Article 22, Clause 1. Right to be produced, yes, within 24 hours before the nearest magistrate court. This is also there in 22, Article 22. Right to fair trial is Article 14, right to equality. Free legal aid is Article 39A. So what is the question asked? Connected to Article 22. So connected to Article 22, 1, 2 and 3. So 3 statements. A candidate cannot contest from more than 2 seats. Can a candidate contest from more than 2 seats? He cannot contest for more than 2 seats according to 33(7)(a). Section 33(7)(a) of RPA says this. You cannot file nomination paper for more than 2 constituencies. Therefore, Prime Minister earlier went for 2 constituencies, right? Vadodara and what? Lucknow. He resigned Vadodara and retained Lucknow. Okay. Now Rahul Gandhi is also contesting in 2 constituencies, Raebareli and Wayanad. Okay. The Constitution abolished the 2-member parliamentary constituencies from the date of its commencement. Constitution has, what do you mean by this 2-member parliamentary constituencies? What do you mean by 2-member parliamentary constituencies? See, in 2 Lok Sabha elections, 1952 and 1957. In these 2 Lok Sabha elections, there were 86 constituencies which have 2 members. 1 member is a general candidate, another member belongs to SC/ST. Okay, so out of 543 constituencies, 86 constituencies were double member constituencies. 1 member will be elected from general candidate, 1 member will be elected from SC/ST. When the constituency has sizable SC/ST population, when they have sizable SC/ST population, then these double member constituencies will be there. Okay, so 86 constituencies were dual member constituencies, 2-member parliamentary constituencies. Understood? And this was introduced because of the Delimitation Act in 1952. The 2-member parliamentary constituencies were introduced by the Delimitation Act of 1952. But later on, what they did, you know, in 1961, the 2-member constituencies got abolished. 1961, the double member constituency got abolished. So 1961, two-member constituencies abolition act abolished the two-member constituencies. It was there in Lok Sabha constituency as well as MLA constituencies, but it got abolished in the Lok Sabha constituencies. Okay. So constitution abolished the two-member parliamentary constituencies. Actually speaking, act only abolished. 1961 act only abolished. Nota, because of the PUCL case judgment, Nota was introduced in 2013. Nota was introduced in 2013. In the MLA elections of 4 states, especially Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. In these 4 MLA constituencies, Nota got introduced for the first time in 2013. So yes. Sikkim is the only state. No. Nagaland is there. Nagaland is there. Okay. Then you also have this Mizoram. Nagaland, Mizoram, Sikkim. These 3 states have 1 MLA constituency. So 4 is wrong, 3 is right, 1 is right, and constitution abolished, only law abolished. So act only abolished, not the constitution. Therefore answer is 1 and 3, 2 statements. Okay. Bail has not been defined in the CRPC. Yes. But in this BNSS, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, which replaced the CRPC in 2023, they have defined the bail. Defined bail. Okay. But 1973 CRPC, there is no definition of the bail, but it was defined in BNSS. So this is right. Anticipatory bail petition can be moved before the Sessions Court or High Court. Yes. Right to default bail is a fundamental right. Definitely yes. Right to default bail is a fundamental right. What do you mean by default bail? See, if the charge sheet is not filed within 60 days in most of the cases, within 90 days in few other cases, then if you move the bail application, you have a right to bail. Right? So in Chabaria case, Ritu Chabaria case, the court has told that right to default bail is not just a statutory right. Not just a statutory right. It is not just a statutory right. It is also a fundamental right. Right to default bail is not just a statutory right. It is a fundamental right as well. It is both a statutory right as well as fundamental right, says Supreme Court in Ritu Chabaria case. So this is also a correct statement, and this is question number 41. Okay. It is a statutory right which is given in section 167 clause 2 of the CRPC. It is a fundamental right according to Supreme Court in Ritu Chabaria case. Okay. So answer is what? 1 is right, 2 is right, 3 is right, all the 3. Then after 42, go to 67. A money bill cannot be referred to the joint committee of the houses because it is the prerogative of the Lok Sabha. So in the joint committee, you will have Rajya Sabha as well. So you cannot refer this money bill to the joint committee which consists of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It is the prerogative of the Lok Sabha. Money bill is the prerogative of the Lok Sabha. So you cannot refer money bill to the joint committee of the houses. No provision for joint sitting in the state legislature. Yes, only in the parliament you have joint sitting of both the houses. In the state legislature you don't have the mechanism of joint sitting of both the houses because only 6 states have bicameral legislature. Many states do not have the second chamber itself. Okay, so this is also right. A bill passed by Rajya Sabha but pending in Lok Sabha lapses on dissolution of Rajya Sabha. So if you refer to Article 107, it says lapsing of the bill upon dissolution of the Lok Sabha, right? So when it will lapse? When the bill has touched the Lok Sabha, either it is pending or it is originating or it is passed. If the Lok Sabha got dissolved, it will lapse. So upon dissolution of Lok Sabha, a bill will lapse if Lok Sabha came in the picture somehow. If the bill has touched the Lok Sabha, either it may be originating in Lok Sabha or it has been passed in Lok Sabha, right? Or it is pending in Lok Sabha. If the bill has touched the floor of Lok Sabha, upon dissolution of Lok Sabha, the bill will lapse. Okay. When it will not lapse? When it has not touched Lok Sabha, it will not lapse. For example, if the bill is referred for joint sitting because of deadlock by the President, if the bill is awaiting the assent if the bill has been sent back for reconsideration by the President, it will not lapse, So when President's role came, somehow the bill will not lapse. When Lok Sabha role came, the bill will lapse. When? Upon dissolution of Lok Sabha. Just that thing if you understand, you will be able to solve the question which is otherwise confusing. Many students will be confusing when it comes to lapsing of the bill. So I tell you that dissolution of Lok Sabha, this is the situation. Now here there are two things. One, whether the bill has touched the Lok Sabha floor or the bill has the role of President. If the bill somehow touched the floor of Lok Sabha, upon dissolution of Lok Sabha, bill will lapse. If the role of President has come, then it will not lapse. For example, when and all the role of President will come, he is referring to joint sitting, it will not lapse. Number two, awaiting his assent, it will not lapse. He is sending the bill back for reconsideration, it will not lapse. Okay. So if you understand that thing, then you will be able to solve this question easily. The bill passed by Rajya Sabha but pending in Lok Sabha, I told if the role of Lok Sabha came, the bill will lapse. What it says, the role of Lok Sabha is there, so bill lapses, and therefore this is correct. Answer is 1, 2, 3, all the three. This is 67. Now go to 68. So Parliamentary Committee, which are the constitutional bodies. Parliamentary Committee, it is because of the rules of procedure of the House, not constitutional. National Commission of Minority, because of the Minorities Act. So it is a statutory body. Special Officer for Linguistic Minority, Article 350B of Constitution, yes. National Commission for Women, a statutory body. So which is constitutional? Only 3 is constitutional, only 1. Okay, this is 68. Next question is 69. Recognizing a parliamentary party or a group. So there is one section 21. There is one section 21 which speaks about the directions by speaker. Directives of the speaker in the rules of procedure of Lok Sabha. An association who have organization both inside and outside the house, it will be called a parliamentary party. Association who shall have at least 1/3 of the total, no, 1/10 of the total. Association who have a distinct program, who have a distinct ideology, they can be called as a parliamentary party or a group by the speaker. So 2 is wrong, 1 is right, 3 is right. Answer is 1 and 3. C is the correct answer for 69. Go to 80. Go to 80. So it is about section 11 of RPA. The question is on section 11 of RPA. Election Commission is empowered to remove or reduce the period of disqualification. Yes, under section 11 of RPA, this is possible because the Sikkim CM, his disqualification period got reduced in 2019 because of the Election Commission's recommendation invoking section 11 of RPA. Disqualified MP MLA can contest election when their conviction is stayed. Yes, they can contest both 1 and 2. When their conviction itself is stayed, they are normal people, they can contest in the election, no problem. Right, after 80, go to 83. What is law? Chief purpose, try to understand this. Ensure compliance with the government regulation and maintain public order. So yes, you may say yes, regulation, public order, but you should understand that it is not in all cases. The purpose of chief purpose of law is this, trying to ensure compliance with the government regulation. This is only in case of police state, not in case of democratic state. So this applies only to police state, and that is not the chief purpose of law when it comes to all states. So this is wrong. Framework for resolving dispute. Resolving dispute is not the chief purpose. Chief purpose is the key word. Chief means the purpose of law is to ensure justice. Justice is the end. Law is the means. This you should understand. If you understand this basic concept, definitely you can solve the question. So resolving dispute is not the chief purpose of law. Regulate behavior, yes. Uphold justice, yes. Protect individual rights, yes. This becomes the appropriate answer. To enforce moral standards. So sometimes law will be against the so-called societal values. If society is promoting patriarchy, whether law will support patriarchy? No. Law is to change the customs which are unjust. It is not always to protect the societal values. Sometimes social values will be against equality. Caste system is against equality. Untouchability is against equality, though it may be a social value of the past society. Okay, so this is also wrong. Answer is C for 83. 84. Department related standing committee was constituted during the 10th Lok Sabha. Yes, April 8, 1993 it was constituted. A minister can neither be a member nor be called before the committee for consultation. Yes, committee cannot consider day-to-day administrative matters. Yes, standing committee will not consider day-to-day administrative aspects. So standing committee includes department related standing committee. How many members are there? 31, out of which 10 are from Rajya Sabha and 21 are from Lok Sabha. This is department related standing committee. Okay, so all the three are correct statements. There is one Advocates Act 1961. Advocates are the only class of persons who can practice law. Yes, Attorney General of India is the ex officio chairman. No, they are elected. Chairman and vice chairman are elected, but Attorney General of India, Solicitor General of India, they are ex officio members. So therefore this is wrong, this is right, one only. Then the question number is 92. NCC acted as a second line of defense. Yes, in 1965 war, in 1971 war, it acted as the second line of defense. NCC was created under the Defense Act. No, it was created under NCC Act. It was created not under Defense Act, it was created under the NCC Act itself. NCC Act itself in 1948. So this is wrong. Statement 1 is right, statement 2 is wrong. Statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is wrong. C is the correct answer. It is the duty of the Attorney General of India to represent the government of India on any reference made by the President to the Supreme Court under Article 143 of the Constitution. Yes. So there is one law officer conditions of service rule. Law officers conditions of service rules 1987. Based on these rules, first statement is correct. Attorney General holds office for 3 years. Yes. Solicitor General, Attorney General, according to these rules, their period is 3 years. So both these statements are correct statements. Exclusive power of Rajya Sabha, which is not available for Lok Sabha. Yes. Article 312. Yes. Article 249. Remove Vice President. Introduction in Rajya Sabha. Effective majority in Rajya Sabha, but it has to be approved by. It has to be approved by Lok Sabha by a simple majority. So Lok Sabha is also there in the removal process of Vice President under Article 67B. So therefore 2 is wrong, 1 is correct, 2 is correct, only 2. This is about the 94th question. Now come to the 95th question, which is the last question in Indian polity for this question paper. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita defines what constitutes terrorist act. Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita prohibits handcuffs. No. It allows handcuffs. It allows handcuffs in case of terrorists, in case of organized crime, in terms of drug traffickers, human traffickers, counterfeiters. It allows handcuffing. Okay, don't say it prohibits. So this is wrong. Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam states that if a person in police custody is injured, it is presumed that the police caused the injury. Actually, this was the recommendation of Law Commission, but it is not there in this BSA. It is not there in BSA. It is there only in Law Commission. It is not there in BSA. So the third statement is wrong. Answer is 1 only. Right? So what is the learning which you have to have is 2 types of learning in this test discussion. Via test discussion. One is that you will be knowing about certain new facts, because last year and all questions were asked from remote areas like bail. So therefore we have asked some questions on bail, right? Some current affairs, this BSA, right? CRPC, Evidence Act got changed. All these things are there in the current affairs, which is why we have put these questions. So new facts you will be learning through this discussion. Secondly, some conceptual clarity. For example, what is law? Everybody knows what is law, but the chief purpose of law means you should be able to be very clear about what is the primary motive of the law. So conceptual clarity and some sort of new facts or informations will be the objective of this test discussion, right? Do well your test. All the very best. Thank you.
So as we near the preliminary examination 2024. Here, this mock test 1 from SIVARAJAVEL IAS Academy is going to help you to really understand and also to give the confidence to you in approaching this examination. So without much ado, let's get into the discussion for today's mock test 1, and I will be discussing on the subject of science and technology and environment. Okay, so let us see the question number 1. Which of the following gaseous products are toxic to humans? Okay, toxic to humans when inhaled. Now you would have heard about syngas so many times in the recent times, because syngas is fundamentally a product produced during pyrolysis and gasification process. Because this pyrolysis and gasification is an important technology involved in waste to energy plants, WTE plants. And the syngas, what it is made up of. Because only when we understand what it is made up of, we can say whether it is toxic or not. Now, syngas is fundamentally made up of carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and also trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Here, this carbon monoxide is extremely toxic because it has the ability of irreversible binding to the hemoglobin of the human blood. The human blood, which has RBC, and the RBC, which contains hemoglobin, and this carbon monoxide will irreversibly bind to this hemoglobin, making it dysfunctional. So wherever carbon monoxide comes, it is extremely toxic. So syngas. What is coal gas? Coal gas is a byproduct of pyrolysis of coal. And this coal gas is also very similar to syngas. It also contains carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and as well as carbon dioxide. And therefore, this is also toxic. And we have biogas. What is biogas? Biogas, even though primarily we say methane, but actually biogas is a mix of many gases. Methane, it also contains carbon dioxide, it also contains hydrogen sulfide. Now, in this, hydrogen sulfide is toxic for the human cells. One. Second, methane. So, what about methane, sir? Is it toxic to human cells? Methane by itself is not toxic to human cells. It doesn't affect or it doesn't kill cells, but what it does. For example, this methane in high concentration compete with oxygen binding. So, if methane is more, oxygen cannot bind. In that way, methane can cause breathlessness. Okay, you feel asphyxiated, and therefore that way it can be called as toxic. But if I say, so only methane, can we call that it is ability to kill or damage cells? No, but it can cause breathlessness. But the hydrogen sulfide present in the biogas can be toxic, and therefore all the three, 1, 2, and 3 is answer for this. Question number 2. Recently, India has pioneered and spearheaded the formation of International Big Cat Alliance. So this question is relevant to that. They are talking about big cat. How many big cats are there? There are 7 big cats. What are the 7 big cats? Tiger, lion, leopard, snow leopard, cheetah, jaguar, and cougar. These are called as 7 big cats. So all the continents have at least 1 big cat species except Antarctica. So they say, okay, you forget Antarctica. Now the question is, at least 1 big cat. Asia, it is home to many big cat species. North America, South America, it is home to jaguar and cougar. North America don't have lion, they don't have a tiger, but they have jaguar and cougar. Africa, they have lion, leopard, and cheetah. But here, in this whole thing, you should not forget Australia. Because Australia is a unique ecosystem which has been an island continent, which has been so far separated from the rest of these mainland regions, and therefore it has evolved separately. And that is one of the uniqueness about the Australia, is that it is fairly absent of big predators. They don't have big predators at all, and therefore the 7 big cat, it is not found in Australia at all. So when we say at least one, this becomes wrong. No single country hosts all 7 of the big cat species. That is true. Not any country, if you say that has all the 7, no country has all the 7. Now that is correct, and therefore 2 only is the answer for this question. Question number 3. Consider the following fibers. How many of the above fibers are made from cellulose, also called as natural fibers? So there are so many natural fibers that we are familiar with: cotton, jute, flax, hemp, coconut, banana. They are all mostly known to be natural fibers. But in this question, they specifically ask from cellulose. Rayon is a fiber. It's actually considered to be semi-synthetic fiber, which is made from cellulose. Yes. Viscose is also a fiber made from cellulose. But when we say polypropylene, just remember one thing: whenever this comes, polypropylene, polypropylene, they are usually petrochemical products. And when we say petrochemical products, they naturally cannot come from cellulose. So 3 has to be wrong. Spandex. What is spandex? It is actually a polymer of polyurethane, not also from cellulose. So 3 is wrong, 4 is wrong. Only 2, B, is the answer for this. Okay. Let's move to question number 13. The total forest cover is larger than tree cover. Okay, now immediately you have to see what is the question is about. According to State of Indian Forest Report 2021, the total forest cover is larger than tree cover. You should be familiar with the differences between forest cover and the tree cover. What does a forest cover means? When the canopy density, okay, canopy is the upper surface of a forest which forms a one flat surface. If you go to the top of a forest, you can see more like an open ground. That layer is called as canopy. So when the canopy density is more than 10%, is more than 10% with a minimum area of more than 1 hectare. So more than 1 hectare with more canopy density of more than 10%, it is called as forest cover. What is tree cover? Any tree which is outside the forest with the area less than 1 hectare is called as tree cover. So they are something more like a scattered trees. So by this understanding, you can easily say, yes, forest cover has to be more than the tree cover. But if you say very specifically, 21.7% is a forest cover and 2.9 is a tree cover, and together the forest and the tree cover of India is 24.6. This is the forest and tree cover. Remember, you must use the precise words. You cannot say forest cover. You cannot say tree cover. You have to say forest and tree cover constitutes 24.6% according to this report. So the statement is correct. The percentage of vulnerability of forest fires, okay, is more than the percentage of the forest cover. What is the percentage of forest fire vulnerability? 22.9. But here they say forest cover, which is 21.7. Therefore, it is higher. So, in India, the forest fire vulnerability, that is even more than the forest cover. So, this is also correct. Answer for this question, therefore, is C, both 1 and 2. This question is, in fact, it has transformed the fact. This is a factual value, fact, into statements. If you are not very sure about this kind of questions, the best thing is to avoid it. Do not try to check your luck with this, because it may be counterproductive. It may backfire. So be careful with this kind of questions, because you may guess the first statement, but the second statement proves to be little trickier, because you should know this. And therefore, do not play with this kind of questions. Question number 14. This is with respect to Biological Diversity Amendment Act 2023. What they say, the Indians who are the users of codified traditional knowledge. What does this codified traditional knowledge means? Any traditional knowledge, for example, Ayurveda book, Siddha book, homeopathy book. So the traditional knowledge has been collected, aggregated, and put it into a format which is in fact readable and reachable to the common masses. This kind of knowledge is referred as codified. Codified means which has been the traditional knowledge which has been aggregated, compiled, and assimilated. They are called as coded traditional knowledge. They are exempted from restrictions and the transfer of results. Okay, I'll explain what the question is. For example, some person wanted to have access to a biological resource in India, let's say neem tree. They conducted a research. Okay, after completing the research, the results they want to sell it to some company. This is what called as transfer of results. So they say this transfer of results, usually Biological Diversity Act does not allow it. I'll give you explanation clearly now. Now it is usually not done. Even though if it is to be done, it has to be done only with a prior approval from the National Biodiversity Authority, NBA. Only when the NBA says okay to transfer the results, it can be done. But for this, exemption is given for Indians. Is it a correct statement according to Biological Diversity Amendment Act 2023? Yes. Now let me give you a few facts. In this act, Biological Diversity Act 2002, Section 3 to Section 7 imposes limitations or restrictions on how the biological resources of India and its associated traditional knowledge can be used, can be accessed. Section 3, it deals with access to biological resources, commercial utilization, biosurvey, and bioutilization. What it says, nobody should do that. Section 3. Section 4, it deals with transfer of results, which this talks about. Transfer of results for monetary compensation. It says you cannot do that without a prior approval. Section 4. Section 5, it talks about this provision, transfer of results. It says this is not applicable for collaborative projects. If there is a collaborative project between one university, an Indian university or a foreign university, then they can transfer the results. So it is not applicable. Section 5 says this restriction on the transfer of results is not applicable for collaborative projects. Okay. Section 6, it talks about patents. Remember, whether Indians or non-Indians or non-resident Indians, these three categories, Indians, non-Indians, or non-citizens, or non-resident Indians, all these three categories, they cannot apply for the patent. But there's a small catch here. With the prior approval of the National Biodiversity Authority, it can be done. So, this statement is correct. Based on the explanation I have given, it is correct. Then the second statement too. The Biological Diversity Act of 2002 allows Indians to patent the research findings derived from. Remember, whether the Biological Diversity Act, let's consider section 6, whether it says no patent is granted or no patent is granted without a prior approval, which means with approval, patent can be granted. That's what the Aristotelian logic is. So with approval, with a prior approval, patent can be received, patent can be filed, and therefore it allows. But both are correct. But it cannot be the explanation, because Indians are allowed to file the patent doesn't mean that Indians are exempted. You see that? Because Indians are allowed to file the patent doesn't mean that they are exempted. So this is not the explanation for this. And therefore, the answer is B. Both are correct, but it is not the explanation. Question number 15. Now this question is about chlor-alkali industry. Chlor-alkali industry in India is primarily dependent upon brine solution or brine salt. Simply means highly salty solution. That is a raw material. And from this raw material, you know what they produce? So for chlor-alkali industry, this is a raw material. And using the raw material, they produce three major products. It includes caustic soda, which is nothing but sodium hydroxide. Caustic soda is nothing but sodium hydroxide. Then they also make chlorine gas. They also produce chlorine, and they also make soda ash. These are the three products of chlor-alkali industry. Soda ash means sodium carbonate. Now, how they do it? Most often, they engage the brine salts for electrolysis. They do electrolysis, which results in the production of these three. And therefore, there are some emissions. Let me tell you one thing. Electrolysis, what is required? Current is required. Power, energy is required. This is the reason why chlor-alkali industry is regarded as one of the 8 energy-intensive industries in India. In India, energy-intensive industries, out of the 8 energy-intensive industries, chlor-alkali is one of them, because it engages electrolysis, which needs huge amount of power. Now, with this understanding, let's say, this electrolysis can be done by many methods. In one method, they use mercury cell. And therefore, mercury emissions are unavoidable, correct? But when we say potent greenhouse gases, what could be the potent greenhouse gases? Methane is a potent greenhouse gas. Nitrous oxide can be a potent greenhouse gas, or HFC. These are the 3 common potent greenhouse gases. But whether these gases are involved or released in the process of electrolysis, no. Greenhouse gases or potent greenhouse gases are not released. Wrong. Chlorine gas, you already seen, chlorine is released. Yes. Reactive gases. What is this reactive gases? In fact, chlorine itself is a reactive gas. Have you ever smelled when you apply bleach into the water or when you clean, you see that suffocating, very harsh smell? No, that's called as reactive gas. Chlorine is what you smell. So it's extremely suffocating. So chlorine, even hydrochloric acid, and another also called as phosgene. They all are produced during this process, and therefore they are also called as reactive gases. And therefore, except 2, 1, 3, and 4 will come. So answer is only 3. C, only 3 is the answer for this. And question number 22. Which of the measures given below are promotional measures? You must pay attention to this. Taken by the Indian government for the protection of mangrove ecosystem. So what comes under what comes under promotional measures? See, for example, whenever we want to protect, whenever we want to conserve, we can have two approaches for that. Either we can take promotional measure or we can take regulatory measure. Promotional or regulatory. For example, afforestation, reforestation, promotion of existing area, they are all called as promotional measures. Conservation of existing area, they are called as promotional. But when any activity is not allowed to come up in that particular region, for example, infrastructure projects is not allowed. Any building of construction is not allowed within the 100 meters of high tidal line along the coast. It means it restricts. It means they are called as regulatory measure. So we can protect either by promoting or either by regulating. The question says, what are the promotional measures for mangrove ecosystem? Conservation and management of mangroves and coral reefs. This is actually a program under National Coastal Mission Program. National Coastal Mission Program of MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forests. This program is a centrally sponsored program in which the central government has 60% share and the state will have 40% share, and it comes under this. So this is a promotional program. One, coastal regulation zone is primarily a regulatory measure. One example, because as I said earlier, coastal regulation zone has what is called as no development zone in what is called as CRZ 1 area. In coastal regulation zone 1 area, category of area, it is called as no development zone, which means it's regulatory in nature, not promoting in nature. So wrong. 2 should not come. So eliminate 2. The third one, MISHTI program, which was launched in 2023 budget last year. Okay, which will be implemented in 9 states and 3 union territories for a span of 5 years. And this is a promotional program. So 3 is correct. 1 is correct. The answer is 1 and 3. C, 1 and 3 is the answer for this. Question number 23. Gandhinagar Implementation Roadmap and the Gandhinagar Information Platform. This initiative is a part of G20 outcome, which India has successfully showcased its leadership to the rest of the world. So G20 outcome, this roadmap is related to that. Okay. Now, this program, Gandhinagar Implementation Roadmap and the Gandhinagar Information Platform, it is a voluntary initiative for the members, okay, which focuses on primarily 2 areas. What is the primary one? First goal. So what is the goal of this roadmap, sir? 2 goals. Restoration. Okay, which is given in the question itself. Restoration of landscapes. Now what comes next is important. Restoration of landscapes affected by the forest fires. So forest fires by 2030. And the same thing, restoration of landscapes affected by mining by 2030. This is the goal, the objective of this. So the answer is restoration of landscapes under forest fire. It is not about wetlands. It is not about species restoration or afforestation. It's actually forest fire. B is the answer for this. Question number 33. In pursuant to Digital India, the question is about Parivesh portal. Okay, Parivesh portal. In India, there are 4 kind of clearances that are required to be sought from the union and the state environment ministry. both at the Union Environment Ministry and the State Environment Ministry. These are the four kind of clearances that are required. Environmental clearance, which is given by Environmental Impact Assessment Authority, EIA, called as EIA. Wildlife clearance given by National National Board for Wildlife. Forest clearance, it is given by Forest Advisory Committee, and CRZ given by CRZ Authority. So these are the four kind of clearances given by both state and the Union Environment Ministry. And for the facilitation of the smoother process of this clearance in terms of applying, in terms of monitoring, and in terms of management of proposals, they wanted to have an integrated single window system. And for that, they brought what is called as Parivesh. And therefore, Parivesh is related to all the four guys actually. All the four. The answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. A 34th question. Which of the statements given below does not, do not miss these words, does not entail any of the objectives stated under the preamble of Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023? So, this Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023, which is an amendment of the original 1980 Act, what are the changes? I would say 4 major changes. In this amendment, 4 major changes were brought. What are they? First one, section 1. What they did, they have changed the name of this act into Hindi name. So Forest Conservation Act 1980, you know, that has been changed into One Adhiniyam. One, it's another name also actually. One Sanrakshan Evam Samvardham Adhiniyam. So this is the first change brought in this amendment. Section 1, first change. Second, section 2. What they do in the section 2? They have added preamble to this act. That's the second. Section 2 preamble was added. Then section 4 has been amended. So what has been amended? In section 4, they have defined what kind of lands comes under the jurisdiction of Forest Conservation Act 1980. They included forest land. You may wonder, sir, what is this forest land? Sir, it means those defined by Indian Forest Act 1927. The Indian Forest Act 1927 defined what is a forest land. And the land ellame, all those land will be considered. One. Second, non-forest land. In the government, I'm sorry, there's a small error I made. Then that which is in the government records as forest in government records. So these are the two kind of lands that comes under the jurisdiction of Forest Conservation Act 1980. And in addition to that, they have given exemptions also. Subsection 2, section 4, subsection 2. They have given some important exemptions for that. What kind of exemptions? One exemption. Any forest land or any land that is within 100 kilometers from international borders, line of control, line of actual control, okay, does not come under the definition of that's not come under Forest Conservation Act. So exemptions are provided under section 4, subsection 2 of this act. 100 kilometers from the international borders, line of control, and line of actual control. First exemption. Second exemption, up to 10 hectares. Okay, up to 10 hectares for security related infrastructure. Third, up to 4 hectares in Naxal affected regions. So these are the 3 exemptions provided. And the section 6, the last change. What is the next amendment done? This is something very unique, guys. Environment Protection Act 1986, EPA 1986. You guys would have been familiar with this act. This is one of the act that gives vast powers to the central government, okay, to issue directives, to issue guidelines, to issue to force the state government to do certain actions. So it's like a sweeping powers on the central government to issue directions to the state government. Remember, earlier Forest Conservation Act 1980, the original act did not have granted such powers to the central government. You know what happened? In section 6, such a power was given to the union government. So section 6 was amended, through which union government now has the power to issue directions to the state government or union territories for the implementation of the act. So these are the changes. Now let's see. Now we are going to the more specific thing. Section 2 preamble was included. What is not part of the preamble? That's what the question is. Not the part of the preamble. Contribution to mitigation of climate change, it does. Pollution abatement, you see, this seems like an kind of a black sheep, something an odd one. It has nothing to do with the pollution abatement. Improvement of forest and tree cover, improvement of livelihoods for forest dependent communities, they're all part of the preamble. But pollution abatement is not. And therefore, the right answer is B. Okay. Question number 35. Which India's environmental protection framework is broader and encompasses wider range of ecological areas? Remember, broader and wider range of ecological areas. Eco-sensitive zone, which is derived from EPA 1986. You would have known about it, and it can come up to 10 kilometers around protected areas. So what protected areas, sir? National parks and wildlife sanctuaries. That's it. Ecologically sensitive areas. Now this is what the most wide range. So ecological sensitive areas, these are the areas designated based on the ecological significance, sensitivity, based on ecological significance, sensitivity, and conservation values. Okay. This ecologically sensitive areas, you may think, are they same? No, they are not the same. They are two different notifications. ESZ is around protected areas only, but ecological sensitive areas covers wider range of ecosystems. Let's take, for example, coastal regulation zone. It's only related to coastal region. It is also very narrow. And therefore, the correct answer is ecologically sensitive areas. So answer for this is B. But one commonness, if you ask me, sir, which act, which law empowers this notification? EPA 1986. Sir, which act empowers this ecological sensitive area notification? It is also EPA 1986. That's where the similarity ends. Everything else is different. And therefore, the answer for this question is B. Question number 42. So we talked about big cats. Now this question is about small cats. So small cats project is considered to be a supplementary project to the big cats, so that small cats are not left behind for conservation. And this small cats project is implemented by MOEF and funded by Global Environment Facility. Yes. And this includes caracal, fishing cat, and the clouded leopard. This is exactly correct. Both 1 and 2 is the right answer for this. Question number 43. Okay. Extended producer's responsibility is applicable to used waste oil in India. Now let's say whether this is correct or not. There is hazardous and other waste rules 2016, and in 2023 this rule was amended to include used oil to ensure that EPR is extended. So therefore the idea, the concept of EPR according to this amendment is applicable for used or waste oil. Correct. This statement is correct. Now let's see the second one. Used waste oil is a hazardous substance. Why it is an hazardous substance? Yes, because it contains what is called as polyaromatic hydrocarbons. These polyaromatic hydrocarbons are cancerous, and therefore it is a hazardous substance. So both statements are correct. Now the question is whether A is correct or B is correct. Now we need to conclude that. Let's say just because it is an hazardous substance, let's say used or waste oil is a hazardous substance, it comes under EPR. You know, that is how you need to answer these kind of questions. See, many people have many ways to answer these questions. My way is little different. I won't first, you know what I will do? I will do this two steps. First, I will see whether both the statements are correct or wrong. Okay? If both statements are correct, I move to the second step. What is the second step? For the second step, I will take the statement 2 first. What I will do, use the waste oil as a hazardous substance. So extended producer responsibility is applicable. I'll do that. This is where I'll do it. Some people will do. Extended producer responsibility is applicable to use the waste oil in India because they do this. Some people thinking will work in this first manner. Some people will think in the way I have said. But my way of thinking is I will start with statement 2, then I will add so. அதனால இது வந்ததா அப்படின்னு பார்ப்போம். எப்பவுமே இந்த மாதிரி கொஸ்டினுக்கு என்ன பண்ணுங்கன்னா கவுண்டரும் யோசிச்சுட்டு ட்ரை டு திங்க் த கவுண்டர் நரேட்டிவ், அண்ட் if a counter narrative is also kind of acceptable to you, then you choose A, otherwise choose B. I'll give you a good example for this. Okay, extended producer responsibility, to what else the CPR is applicable? Let's say for example plastic. You wouldn't believe it, even plastic comes under extended producer responsibility, but plastic is not a hazardous substance. You see, the logic breaks. And therefore, just because it is hazardous doesn't mean that it comes under extended producer responsibility, and therefore both are correct. But it is not the explanation for the first statement, and therefore answer is B. B is the answer for this. Okay, question number 44. Now this question, how many of the above comes under the jurisdiction of Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, which works under MOEF? So this GEAC has two primary functions. One, any activity that involves large scale use in research and industrial production. Okay, any large scale use, that word is very important. Large scale use in research and industrial production of hazardous microorganisms, and recombinants. This is the first job. Any such thing involving this, GEAC's approval is mandatory. Second, any release of organisms, or products. So any release. So second is release of GE organisms or its products. Now these two comes under GEAC. So now this says whether it is imported, whether it is been indigenously developed, it doesn't care. Anything which is considered to be hazardous, anything which is recombinant, if it is in large scale, it comes under GEAC. Now apply this. Confined field trial, it comes under GEAC. Clinical trial of recombinant. Clinical trial means it involves large number of people. Yes, it comes under. இது என்ன அப்படின்னா இந்த கொஸ்டினோட ஒரு ட்ரிக்கி என்னன்னா, let me tell you that we usually think genetic engineering appraisal committee is associated only with genetically engineered crops, genetically engineered plants. This is the kind of an illusion many would be having. No, this is not only about crops, any genetically engineered organisms and its involvement in large scale or release into the ecosystem. GEAC will say, okay, I will regulate it. So it includes all the four. All the four is answer question. Is answer for this question. Question number 48. So this is about Kalkiri Forest Reserve. There was one important person which is behind this particular Kalkiri Forest Reserve. His name is Arogyesh Swami. Who is the forest ranger who for long 40 years has converted a mono plantation region, which is primarily eucalyptus, transformed into tropical rainforest. It is in Karnataka, which is about 30 kilometers from Bangalore. And that for this, the Ministry of Environment and Forest has recognized the contribution given by this. That's why it was in the news. And it is an arboretum. What is arboretum? Arboretum is a botanical garden which is used for research, conservation, and educational purposes. So that is called as arboretum, and therefore one is correct. Originally it was an eucalyptus plantation, now it is a tropical rainforest. That is correct. It is well known for community participation for its management practices. Let's see. You should not afford to lose your focus when you read the question. Okay? Because the first two statements or the first statement seems knowable, doesn't mean that you become more lax, you become more relaxed in the rest of the statements. No, you should never miss your focus throughout the question. Here, you say forest reserve, it means it's a reserve forest. Second, it's a community participation, which means JFM, Joint Forest Management. Let me tell you, no reserve forest will allow joint forest management at all. Joint forest management is applicable for degraded forests. It is not for reserve forests. And therefore, this is actually wrong. It is well known for the contribution of this person for its transformation. So this is wrong. The answer is only 2. Question number 49. The expansion of universe is not uniform as statement 1. Expansion of universe is known to, I hope that known to you. Universe is expanding, it is not static. But how this expansion happens? Is it a uniform expansion or an accelerated expansion? According to scientists, it is not uniform, it is accelerated expansion, which means day by day, universe is expanding faster and faster. That is true. But why this happens? If the second statement exactly explains why, then A is the right answer. Otherwise, it is not. So this one is correct. Statement 1 is correct. Statement 2, dark matter. Dark matter is one of the mysteries of the universe, which constitutes 27% of the universe is dark matter. But we cannot see them. We cannot observe them. It is beyond our human observation. But only one thing gives up that dark matter exists. What is the proof for the dark matter? That it has gravitational effects. That is correct. And constitutes about a quarter. For example, let's say 27% quarter. It's almost true. So this is also correct. But whether dark matter is an explanation for the accelerated expansion of the universe? Wrong. So what is reason for that? Dark energy, not dark matter. dark energy which constitutes about 68% of the universe, that is responsible for this. So 1 is correct, statement 2 is also correct, but it is not the correct explanation. Therefore, B is the answer for this. Question number 56. How many of the above can be potentially used as coolants in a nuclear reactor, including small modular nuclear reactors, which is in the news many times? So which can be used as a coolants? Liquid water is most commonly used as a coolant in pressurized water reactors. Heavy water is also used, not only liquid water, heavy water is also used as a coolant. Liquid sodium is used as a coolant mostly in breeder reactors. Helium is also used as a coolant in gas cooled reactors. But also let me tell you one thing, helium is preferentially the most preferable coolant for small modular reactors. But when we say boron, this guy is a wrong choice here, because boron is usually called as control rod. It is not a coolant. Boron is commonly used as a control rod to stop the fission reaction. So boron irundhuduna fission reaction will stop. It is not a coolant, it is a control rod. So 4 is wrong. 1, 2 and 3. Only 3 is the answer for this. Question number 57 about phage therapy. What this phage therapy means? Let's say that you have bacterial infection. Nowadays there is many problem with the bacterial infections because the drug you take is not getting effective and the drug you take may have side effects, all these problems. So scientists were finding out, but thinking what can we do for this? Then they found out there are viruses that can infect bacteria and kill them. So it's a virus which will kill bacteria, the bacteria which cause disease to us. What is the name of the virus? These viruses are called as bacteriophages. And using virus for treating diseases caused by bacteria is called as phage therapy. As simple as that. So here phage refers to bacteriophage. Now they say this has some disadvantages. Now what are the disadvantages? First one, viruses are highly specific. Very true. Always viruses are very specific. Appo specific na, you devise one virus for one bacteria, another bacteria comes, this virus cannot be useful. So it has a very narrow range. Why? Because it's highly specific. Correct. That's a disadvantage, you know. So let's say that you have 100 bacteria. You need to have 100 different bacteriophages, which is not easy. So that is the first disadvantage. Second, resistance to virus can develop quickly in the target. For example, whether bacteria can develop resistance against bacteriophages? Yes, of course. Bacteria ku vandu neenga edukra antibiotic mattum kudiya, not only for the antibiotic, even when a virus comes and kills them, over a point of time bacteria will evolve, and with this evolution they develop resistance. So this is also problem, which means let's say that you use virus to kill bacteria now bacteria will die. After 5 years, bacteria will die. But after some time, this will develop resistance, which means this virus, this bacteriophage is not useful at all. So that is the next problem we have. Yes. Third, the virus introduced into the patient can potentially cause a disease. What you are doing? You have a bacterial infection in your body. You use a virus to kill it. But your immune system, what it will do? It will try to kill both the bacteria and the virus, which is a problem. And therefore, this is also correct. So all the three are considered to be the 3 major problems associated with the phage therapy. 58th question. Neglected tropical diseases. Recently, in the 17th meeting of Scientific and Technical Advisory Group under WHO has recommended NOMA as the 24th neglected tropical diseases. In 2023. So that's why it was in the news. It is regarding that. What is this noma? Noma is a gangrene. Gangrene, what it means? It means a very pestered wound. Okay, it's a gangrenous inflammation of mouth and the face. It mostly affects the face. Okay, but if this noma is not properly handled, it can even cause death. It mostly affects impoverished children between 2 to 7 years old. So it's very much affecting the poor children who doesn't receive good nutrition. And that has been included into non-tropical diseases by the World Health Organization in 2023. And therefore here, with this understanding, let's say, malaria is a neglected tropical disease. I told earlier, there are 24 neglected tropical diseases so far. Malaria is a neglected tropical disease. Wrong. Sir, what else comes, sir? There are 24 patha, impossible. I'll give an explanation. But just to give you an idea here, dengue is an NTD, neglected tropical disease. Chikungunya is NTD. Malaria is not. Why? We already have a vaccine also, RTS 01. I'm sorry, RTS. As a vaccine, ஒரு டிசீஸ்க்கு வேக்சின்லாம் டெவலப் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா அது எப்படி நெக்லெக்டடாக இருக்கும்? Use your logic, right? So this is wrong. Once you say this is wrong, statement 1 is incorrect. Exactly you can go, which means statement 2 is correct. Question number 59. This question is about MQ9B Predator Reaper. This MQ9B Predator Reaper comes in two versions. One is called as Sea Guardian, used for naval forces. The next is called as Sky Guardian, used by Air Force. Why it was on the news? Because UPSC approved the sale of 31 of this to India, so which is very unique. Let's talk about this. It is a long range. Sir, endha அளவுக்கு range, sir? 1100 miles. It can fly up to 50,000 feet. So it's a very long range. Long duration, yes. Appo, any flight which can travel up to long distances, how can you control in the ground? So you need to have a supporting aircraft for communication purposes, right? You might have thought like that. No, because this drone, it is connected through military satellites. And military satellites will send the communication controls and the protocols to the ground control station. So when they say solely controlled, wrong. So how this drone is controlled? It is controlled by ground control station, GCS, not aerial platforms. Wrong. It can be used for reconnaissance and ground target neutralization as well, which means the question says whether it can carry missiles. Yes, it can carry up to 8 missiles. So this is correct. Third statement, it is semi-autonomously controlled by AI. Yes, for example, takeoff and the landing is automatically controlled. That automatic control comes by AI. So that is correct. But other than that, it is manually controlled. So it is partially semi-autonomously controlled by AI. Correct. The answer is 1 is wrong, 2 and 3 is correct. Only 2. Question number 76. Super Kamikande. It is in Japan. Ice cube. It is in Antarctica. Karmeland is also in Japan. What they aim to study? In fact, Super Kamikande or Karmeland would have been little difficult to know, but this you guys should have been known, because the complete name of this observatory, Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. So these three observatories are related to the study of neutrino. The answer for this question is B. Question number 77. Plasma, the fourth state of matter, solid, liquid, gas. The fourth state of matter, plasma. Where we can find the plasma? Remember, what is a plasma? See, we say solid, then we have liquid, then we have gas. Remember how this transition happens. You increase the temperature more, solid becomes liquid, liquid becomes gas. You increase temperature further, gas becomes plasma. So what is a plasma? Plasma is nothing but charged gas. So wherever there is a high temperature, which is usually in the temperature range of about 1500 degrees Celsius and above, usually plasma exists. And therefore, where the temperature can be found more, nuclear fission, plasma will be formed, nuclear fusion, also ionosphere, which is in the upper part of our atmosphere where aurora phenomenon happens. Aurora borealis, aurora australis, they are all due to plasma, guys. So ionosphere is also the place where plasma can be found. Lightning is also the process which produces plasma because of its high intense temperature. All the four, 1, 2, 3 and 4 is answer for this. Okay, let us see some important current affairs questions from the science and technology and environment area. Now this question is about DNA nanoball strategy. This question is about DNA nanoball strategy. Let's talk about this. What happens here? See, usually there is one process called as PCR. PCR, which stands for polymerase chain reaction. Now, what they do in this reaction is very simple, guys, very simple. You take a small sample of DNA or RNA, usually DNA, guys, but RNA also can be used. But you take a small sample of DNA, you make millions and millions of copies. You make multiple copies of it. It is called as polymerase chain reaction, PCR. Now, why we do this? For example, a disease comes to your body. The disease organism, virus, bacteria or fungi, it will be very less in number, you know. Imagine your body cells, millions of body cells. How many bacteria will be there? Very less. So, you have to find those bacterial DNA. If I find a bacterial DNA in my body, it means that bacteria is in my body, which means I am infected, which means I have the disease. So, they do this method for the diagnosis. But let me tell you one thing, this polymerase chain reaction requires temperature up to 100 to 110 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's one thing. Now later, scientists developed new other methods. Now it is one recent method. The idea is the same, but they don't want to use high temperature. They want to use room temperature. It is called as lamp method. What this lamp method is? Lamp method, the idea is the same, like a PCR, but it is called as loop mediated isothermal amplification technology. Amplification technology. What they do here also, they take a small sample of DNA. What they do, you know, they make this DNA in multiple copies like a loop. They make a loop of it. For example, you have a thread. You make another thread, tie it. You make another copy, tie it. You make a loop of it. Now what happens is, if you make a loop, it becomes into more like a ball. That ball is called as DNA nanoball. Now this DNA nanoball can be easily sensed. So what they do, you know, let's get the complete picture. You have a small viral DNA or a small bacterial DNA in your body. You take the sample, okay, you take the sample, and then using this technology, you make a loop of it. And this loop will convert into more like a ball. This ball can be easily detected. Now that method is called as LAMP, and that DNA is called as DNA nanoball strategy. So what is it used for? It is used for diagnosis. It amplifies pathogen DNA into microscopic spheres for easy observation. C is the answer for this. Okay. Question number 8. Question number 8. How many of the given above mammals are herbivores? So, have no doubt they are all mammals, but whether they are herbivores or not. Now, first to start with is orangutan. Orangutan is one kind of a big ape, but orangutan is primarily fruitivorous. It mostly prefers fruits. but it is also known to eat meat of squirrels, meat of other animals. It is even preferable to eat eggs of birds. They hunt for eggs. So it is not herbivore at all. It can be called as omnivores. So 4 should not come. Caribou. What is a caribou? Caribou is nothing but Indian antelope. It is completely herbivorous. Black buck. So I'm sorry for this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry for this. So caribou is actually Arctic reindeer. It is found in the zone around the pole. It is found only in the northern polar region. Caribou, it is completely herbivorous. Black buck, it is also completely herbivorous. Hippopotamus is also completely herbivorous, except orangutan. The answer is only 3. Then question number 51. So the term ergosphere, recently seen in the news, what does it mean? Okay. Option A, it is a region of space around any astronomical object where the object's magnetic field affects charged particles. Guys, please observe closely. It is a definition for magnetosphere, not ergosphere. Wrong. It is outer region of the black hole where a light entered have a chance of return. See, let's say we have a black hole. The clear definition or the way we understand the black hole is that anything which goes inside never comes out. Actually, there is a boundary in a black hole. That's called as the boundary of the black hole. You go beyond the boundary, you can never come back. But you go near the boundary and come back, you have a possibility of coming back. That boundary of a black hole is called as event horizon. So what is ergosphere? Ergosphere is a zone around the black hole where the gravity of the black hole is felt, but you can come back. This zone, this zone is called as ergosphere. It is outer region of the black hole where light entered have a chance of return. This is the right answer, B. This is about LED. LED work only on direct current. See, LED, what happens, how light is formed in LED, light emitting diodes. It is due to the recombination of, என்ன தெரியுமா ரொம்ப சிம்பிளுங்க, merger of electrons and holes. The merger, or we can say technically the recombination of the electrons and the holes in the N-type and the P-type junction. The N-type and the P-type junction is the heart of LED. அந்த இடத்துல the electrons and the holes combines. That combination releases the energy in the form of light. So, இப்போ என்ன ஆகணும்னா, electron has to come always in one direction and a hole always has to come in one direction, they will combine. But what happens in alternative current? Alternative current, electron comes here, hole comes here. In the next half, hole comes here, electron comes here. It keeps changing. That's what alternating current is. But direct current, always electron comes in one particular way and hole comes in other particular way. இப்படி இருந்தாதான் LED will work. And therefore, alternative current is usually not suitable for LED lamp. So, correct. LED contains mercury. Remember, there are other lamp called as CFL. That contains mercury. LED is nothing but a semiconductor. It has 0 mercury. Wrong. LED can emit ultraviolet radiation. That is true to a certain extent. For example, now in this room, you can see white LED. This releases very little amount of UV light. But high-powered blue LEDs can emit UV. So, this is correct. LED can be used as grow light for plants. Don't get confused. What is grow light? For example, it's an indoor plant. You have an indoor space for growing plants. There you cannot have the sunlight, so you will have artificial sunlight to promote the growth of plants. That kind of a light is called as grow light. Can LED be used as grow light? Absolutely yes. So except 2, 1, 3 and 4. So only 3 is the answer for this. Okay, Thank you, friends, for your support. Please wait for the next mock test also from the SIVARAJAVEL IAS Academy to have another revision, another round of revision before the examination. Thank you.
So good morning students, we will start our today's discussion. So question number 10. Consider the following statements with respect to the Indus Valley civilization. If you take the question, it was predominantly a secular civilization. Okay, it was predominantly a secular civilization, yes. During this period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles in India. Cotton, yes. No metallic money was in circulation. Yes, Indus Valley people, they used seals. Okay, they used seals. So, no metallic money was in circulation. So, this is also correct. So, answer is all three is correct. The next question is question number 11. Kaviraja Margam was the first grammar book written in Kannada. Yes, Kaviraja Margam was written by Amoga Varsha. Ratnaloka was a Sanskrit book written on Buddhism. No, it is written on Jainism. Jainism. Kavi Rahasya was written by Halayudha during the period of Rashtrakuta. This is correct. So, this is the second statement was not correct. Ratnaloka was a Sanskrit book written on Jainism. It is not on Buddhism. So, it is only two pair, only two. Next, question number 12. With reference to Pavanar, Pavanar was a place in Maharashtra. Which of the following statements is correct? Deccan riots were first started here due to the increasing agrarian distress. No. Acharya Vinoba Bhave started individual satyagraha. Very good. This is correct. In the year of 1940, okay, under the influence of Gandhi, Acharya Vinoba Bhave started individual, he participated in the individual civil disobedience. This individual civil disobedience was also called as individual satyagraha. Okay, so answer is B. Total answer is B. And next we are going for 27th. He is a prominent exponent of Advaitam philosophy. So, here the question is Adi Shankara. He was the Bhakti saint. Okay, he was the Bhakti saint. He established 4 madas for the propagation of Sanatana Dharma. Yes. Okay, Sanatana Dharma was also called as Hinduism. He established, Char Dhams. And the Char Dhams are 4 madam. Nirvana Shatakam and Prakaran Granthas were his major work. Yes, Nirvana Shatakam and Prakara Granthas were his major work. So answer is, yeah, all three. All three. And the next one is question number 28. Deccan Education Society. It was established by Gopal Ganesh Agarkar and Lokamanya Balagangadhar Tilak. Yes. The establishment of the Ferguson College at Bombay. So this is at Bombay. By this society marked Pune's first higher education institutions. So both were all correct. So answer is C. Okay. And next one is 29th. With reference to the modern Indian history, the principle of sovereignty of law was instituted in India by Lord Cornwallis. Here Lord Cornwallis has to come. Okay, Lord Cornwallis has to come. Here not Lord William Bentinck. The Cornwallis Code of 1793 delineated a distinct separation between revenue and judicial administration in India. Yes, because Cornwallis thought extreme power corrupts a person extremely. So, power corrupts abruptly. So, Cornwallis was the one who used to think that the revenue should be, the collector should in charge, he should be the in charge of revenue. Okay, and the superintendent of police, SP, should be the instance of law and order, and also the district judge. Okay, the district judge should be the in charge of, okay, judiciary. So this is the philosophy. So answer is it is 2 only. Next one is question number yeah. So the question number 36. So in Ashtamangala, which means a collection of 8 ancient and sacred symbols used in the Buddhism, in Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. In this context, Buddhism, consider the following pairs. Ashtamangalana 8 மிக முக்கியமான auspicious things. அது இந்துயிசம் ஜெயினிசம் புத்திசத்தில் இருக்குது. அதில் முக்கியமாக எதெல்லாம் ஓகே அஸ்பீஷியஸ்ன்னு கேட்குறாங்க. இப்போ புத்தா முத்ராஸில் இப்போ கான்ச் செல் அப்படின்னு எடுத்துக்கிட்டிங்கன்னா திஸ் இஸ் சிம்பாலிக் ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் ஆஃப் புத்தாஸ் டீச்சிங், கரெக்ட். கோல்டு ஃபிஷ், இன்றைக்கும் நிறைய பேர் வீட்டில் கோல்டு ஃபிஷ் வளர்க்கக்கூடிய பழக்கம் இருக்குது. ஸோ இட்ஸ் அ ரெப்ரசன்டேஷன் ஆஃப் அபுடன்ஸ் அண்ட் ஃபெர்டிலிட்டி. எண்ட்லெஸ் நாட், எண்ட்லெஸ் ஆர்ட் அப்படின்றது இது சிம்பிள் ஆஃப் மாரல் டிசிப்ளின் இருக்குது. நோ, இன் புத்திசம் த ஃபிலாசபி ஆஃப் எண்ட்லெஸ் நாட் connect with love and compassion. So Buddha odeya, it is considered to be the represents the endless wisdom and compassion of Buddha. Okay, so endless wisdom, okay, endless wisdom and compassion of Buddha. Okay, and compassion of Buddha. So adanaala that is what the answer. So lotus is the mental and spiritual purity. And Buddhism, lotus and elephants represents Buddha's birth. So only 3 is correct. 3. Next one, here you can see there are 5 important Maratha Sardars. Okay, you have to remember like B. Okay, that is Bhonsle, Scindia, Peshwa, Gaikwad and also Holkars. So 5 of them are there. So you have to choose the right kingdom. So first paranga Bhonsle of Nagpur. Shivaji's father was Shaji Bhonsle. Okay, next one is Scindia of Gwalior. Here the Scindia. Here the Holkars of Gaikwad of Baroda. Scindia of Holkars of Bhonsle, Nagpur. Okay, Peshwa, Pune. Okay, Peshwa is Pune is correct. Gaikwad, Baroda is correct. Okay, so 37 answer is what? 37 is Holkar. Okay, Holkar of Indore. Indore has to come. Scindia of Gwalior has to come. Okay, only 3 is correct. Next, Navajivan Harijan Indian opinion Young India. How many of the given above journals were published in India? Actually, all of them were Gandhian journals only. But published in India, Navajivan Harijan Young India. This Indian opinion was published at South Africa. Next one is question number 52. He is the founder of Mihir Bhoja, the founder of Gujjara Pratihara. Yes, he was an ardent of Vishnu and adapted that title. Mihir Bhoja was not the founder. It is wrong. He belongs to Gujjara Pratihara dynasty. He was the ardent Vishnu devotee and he was using the title Adi Varaha. Yes. Rajashekara was a court poet. Yes. This Rajashekara wrote Karpura Manjari. And he shifted the capital of Gujjara Pratiharas from Ujjain to Kanauji. This was done by Nagabhatta too, not by him. There was a ruler called Nagabhatta. Okay, so Nagabhatta too only did this. He built the great Telika Mandir, which is dedicated to Shiva, Vishnu and Matrikas. Okay, so answer is 3. Only 3 pair. 52nd is only 3 pair. 60th. What is Shataka? 60th. What is Shataka? The word Shataka is a special type of cloth. Shataka means it's a special type of cloth. 60th. And 61, here they are given Gujjara Pratiharas, Mahajana Pratas and the present state. Surasena, where Krishna born, Uttar Pradesh, Mathura was their capital. Anga, Champa, Bihar. Ashaka was in Deccan region, Maharashtra. Okay, Potali was the capital, Potali. Avanti, it was not in Telangana, Maharashtra. Avanti was in Madhya Pradesh. Ujjain was the capital. So only 2 pair is correct. 61 answer is only 2 pair. 62. So which of the following events happened in the Calcutta session of Indian National Congress of 1911 under the presidency of B.N. Dar? Under the presidency of B.N. Dar, okay, it is not. The first statement won't come. The nationalist demand for permanent fixation of land revenue, no. Rabindranath Tagore song Janahana Mana was first sung for that time. Yes, it was the same Rabindranath Tagore in 1896. He has sung the national song Vande Mataram. Actually, national song Vande Mataram was composed by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, but it was first sung by Rabindranath Tagore in 1896 Calcutta session. Okay, likewise, in 1906, another song called Amar Sona Bangla was sung by Rabindranath Tagore. He wrote this Amar Sona Bangla. And third one is Rabindranath Tagore's song Janahana Mana was sung for the first time. Okay, fine. Next. Rajaji formula addressed the political deadlock between All India Muslim League and Indian National Congress. Yes. All India Muslim League advocated a separate electorate in 1945 general election. Okay, yes. All India Muslim League advocated a separate electorate in the 1945 general election in India. So, if you take the question number 63, first is correct but second is incorrect actually, because thereof the year is important. Okay, Muslim League advocated for a separate electorate in the 1945 general election in India means, okay, here the thing is, here by this time Muslim League demanded for a separate country called Pakistan. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. So, first statement is correct, second statement is, first statement is correct, second statement is incorrect. Okay, so the explanations what they have given. Okay, there was an increasing demand for a separate nation Pakistan by the All India Muslim League for the betterment of the Muslims. But the thought of partitioning the Indian nation was strongly opposed by the Indian National Congress. So the statement 2 is incorrect. So that is what they have given. So this concept of separate electorate, it is not that much of correct. Next question, question number 89. Creation of iron pillar inscription. So, creation of iron pillar inscription at Meheroli, discovery of Pi, establishment of Nalanda University, defeat of Huns by Skandagupta. How many of the statements given above is correct? To the reason to consider the Guptan age is the golden age of India. So, these are all. Why Guptan age is golden age? Because not only in the arts, in the field of crafts, architecture, science and technology, maths, and also astronomy and astrology. Everything the Guptans were excelled. But this is a political story. So this political story is not the reason to say the Guptan age is golden age. So answer is 3. C, 3 only. Answer is 3 only. Next. Tanga Zagirs were given to Muslim nobles. No, it is not specifically Muslim nobles. The second statement, Vatan Zagirs were assigned to Zamindar in their local dominion. Yes, but this Muslim nobles did not come. So the statement is wrong. Tanga Zagirs were transferable every 3 to 4 years, whereas the Vatan Zagirs were not transferable. Yes. So answer is it was B. Okay. And next one is 91st. Lord Hardinge. Okay, his period famous for abolition of female infanticide, correct. So Lord John Lawrence, establishment of the High Court at Calcutta, yes. These are all happening in 1860s. Lord Lansdowne, setting up of Durand Commission, yes. Lord Hardinge too, establishment of the Hindu Mahasabha in 1915. So all are correct. You need to know the chronology order of the Governor Generals and Viceroys. So first Lord Hardinge were okay, John Lawrence were Lansdowne were and Lord Hardinge too were. Chariya? So this is you need to understand. So that's all about this discussion. Okay, all the best. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll take up for discussion the economy questions of this open mock test number 1. So the fourth question, green bonds are debt instruments designed to raise funds that are exclusively utilized for green projects. So don't get trapped with these kind of extreme words. So earlier we used to say that whenever there are extreme words or exaggerated words, you have to give notice to that. But also take that advice with a pinch of salt, because not always these extremes are wrong. Okay, so here in this case, it is a correct statement. So green bonds are exclusively used for green projects. So but governments are free enough to designate what green projects are. For example, we have an entire guideline on what green projects are. So what can be designated as a green bond? For example, we have excluded specifically nuclear projects. So nuclear projects are not green projects. Even though we consider hydroelectric projects above 25 megawatts as renewable energy, projects which are used for creating such multi-purpose dams above 25 megawatts are not considered to be as green projects. So these are guidelines, but it varies from country to country. And therefore, first statement plainly reading, this is correct. These bonds typically come with higher interest rates than traditional bonds to enhance their attractiveness to investors. So is this right, Abhina? This is where things get a little bit tricky. See, the very need for having a green bond is to ensure that money is going towards these kinds of areas. For example, who will raise green bonds? For example, let me give you an example of the government last year onwards has come out with a sovereign green bond. The proceeds of that fund is going to be utilized for green projects, no doubt in that. But why do we have such a bond? The thing is that we have to attract CSR. We can attract certain environmentally conscious investments into that. And therefore, world over, the trend is that such bonds have a lower interest rate. If we have to give more interest rate, then that's going to be a burden on the one who is going to issue the bond. For example, already it's the financing, when you look at the financing of the government is doing much, and also the private are utilizing so much of funds for green projects. Of course, it's a costly business. So when you are going to have a higher interest rate, of course, see, look at this statement, a high interest rates will definitely attract investors, no doubt in this. But these bonds do not typically come with higher interest rates. They come with generally lower interest rates. Certain types of green bonds may even have no interest rates at all. Zero coupon rates have been solvanga. We may attract CSR funds into that. We may attract certain ESG funds. Corporate ESG funds. So that kinds of funds can be channelized. So அந்த மாதிரி பண்றதுக்கு தான் this types of bonds are. So therefore this statement is incorrect. Okay. But presently green bonds are issued only by the governments. This is also incorrect. So if you look at the history of India, the government has been issuing, yes, for example, the first organization to issue green bonds was Yes Bank in 2015 itself. India was quite late to that. Government வந்து last year la தான் framework போட்டு நம்ம அத பண்ணலாம் அப்படின ஒரு முடிவே எடுக்கிறோம். And therefore this is incorrect. Second is also incorrect, and for the answer will be only 1. Okay, so and now let's say, then how come, say if they are going to have lower interest rates, you may have a doubt of where will be the incentive. So CSR, there is no question, they have to do it. But how will you incentivize these kinds of things? Now, we may have tax concessions, tax incentives. In the மாதிரி கொடுத்து தான் அந்த attractiveness நம்ம improve பண்றோம். Higher interest rate will be a huge burden. Okay, so அது கிடையாது. So answer is only 1. Okay, so which of the following are features of current accounts in India, in banks? Okay, so current accounts in banks. I'm not asking about the current accounts of the government of India or the current account of the balance of payment. Okay, so you have two concepts, you just try to go through that also. It requires a higher minimum balance compared to a savings account. Yes. Unlike savings account, it attracts no or minimal rate of interest on the deposits. Yes. Usually the main differential between a savings account and a current account is that a current account will have no interest rates. But there are certain banks which are also giving such rates, but it will be very minimal, and therefore generally this statement is right. There can be no multiple current account for a single business. Is this right? Yes. A single business can have only one current account. That's also right. There are no limits for current account transaction in a day. And here also, if you give too much of emphasis on such extreme words like no, it can trap you. Another logical, of course, see here it attracts no interest rate, correct. No multiple accounts, yes. No limits, yes, of course, there is no limit. And therefore the answer will be all. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which of the following methods takes into account the demand side of the production for the production of calculating GDP? So GDP typically can be found in the income method, expenditure method, outcome methods and all. So these three are the actual methods: product, expenditure and income. So adula demand side edu appdin sonna definitely expenditure method. Okay, fine. So how do we capture the demand of the expenditure? We typically divide all the main entities of the economy into 4. 1, households, government, firms and the rest of the world. Ivanga ellathoda expenditures. For example, consumption expenditure, government's expenditure, the private firm's expenditure is high. Then the expenditure of the rest of the world can be understood in the form of export minus imports. Okay, so this is called as private final consumption expenditure. This is the actual terminology that we use. Government's final consumption expenditure. Investments is called as gross fixed capital formation. Okay, so the answer is B. Right. So question number 24. We speak about a particular scenario or a person. X is a person who transfers money illegally or by fraud, transfers funds in person as a courier service or electronically on the behalf of others. X is paid for the service. So, okay, so this kinds of services are also available, but don't try to do this kind of a service. Okay, so criminals recruit X to help launder these proceeds. In this above passage, X is best understood as, right? You might be confused. The answer is A, money mules. Okay, so money mules is the answer. So recently, RBI also revamped its website. RBI used to come with periodically certain kinds of issues, right? They had about financial awareness. They had in their book, they have written about what money mules are. In the year 2010 itself, when this kind of thing where people would ask money from someone, help launder in the form of dividing it or breaking down into smaller units and electronically transferring to some other people, they were called as money mules. Okay, so the answer is A, money mules. Right, so NABFID. NABFID, so this is a new institution that has been operational in India since 2021 onwards, right? So this is a new development financial institution. So it's an all India financial institution that is regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. Is it right? Yes. Being a bank, it has to be regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. It aims in organizing and facilitating foreign participation in infrastructure projects. Yes, that's also correct. You might be thinking about whether they are going to attract foreign participation or not. The very idea about this kind of institution is to bring money wherever possible it is. Therefore, this is also correct. The chairperson is appointed by the RBI in consultation with the government. This is incorrect. Okay, this is incorrect. So, as of now, even though we have a new body called as FSIB, which is going to be the regulator, or let's say the appointing authority, the body which is going to recruit people, it is done by the central government only. So, who is going to be appointed? The chairperson is going to be appointed by the central government in consultation with the FSIB and the board of the NABFID. So, this is incorrect. So, 1 is correct, 2 is also correct. So, the answer will be only 2. 26. Consider the following statements with regarding cash management bills. It is issued by the central government, not by state governments. Yes, because see, T-bills is a short-term securities of the government of India. T-bills itself, I think it's on already a previous question. Treasury bills cannot be issued by the state governments. It has been a statement asked. Definitely they cannot. If cash management bills is a generic version of T-bills, which is having a shorter duration, definitely it cannot be done by the state governments also. So this is a correct statement. It can be used to fund fiscal deficits. No, fiscal deficit can be managed only by G-secs and treasury bills. So every year the government, while planning how much it is going to borrow, it can issue the government securities and T-bills. But sometimes when they are issuing a government security, there will not be enough demand for it, for which money will not come in. So temporary mismatches will be there. For that only, the government will be using cash management bills. So temporary mismatches. Okay. The other way of funding the temporary mismatch is through ways and means advances. Okay. So if temporary mismatches can be managed from the RBI itself, they will be utilizing the funds under the WMA. If not, என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னா cash management bills மூலமா raise பண்ணிக்கலாம். So இதுதான் அது. They are issued for maturities less than 91 days. Definitely yes. So the answer will be 1 and 2. So 1 is correct, 2 is correct, but the question here is you have to identify which is not correct. See, some 2 years ago there were not such kind of questions. It will be either the statements in the first itself will have not. Usually will not be having, which is not correct here, but we are utilizing in the last 1 year in other kinds of questions they have also used this type of pattern. And therefore be aware, don't always have a mindset அப்படியே படிச்சிட்டு இருக்கப்பே இந்த நாட்டை மறந்துட்டு போயிடக்கூடாது. Okay, so first statement is a correct statement, third statement is also a correct statement, only 2 is incorrect, and therefore how many of the statement is not correct means only 1 is not correct. Right. 45th question, positive, which of the following factors may lead to an increase in savings? So this speaks about the overall savings rate. சரிங்களா, savings rate na ஒட்டுமொத்த GDP ல how much is being saved in the form of time deposit and savings deposit. சரியா, இந்த ரெண்டும் எவ்வளவு வந்திருக்குன்னு பார்த்தாலே தெரிஞ்சிரும் what is the savings rate. Which will influence it? First, positive real interest rate. What is real interest rate? Real interest rate in சொன்னாலே which has accounted for inflation. So when that is positive, definitely everyone will have the incentive of putting that. So that's a very important marker. Inflation rate lower irundhuchina, there is no need to spend more and therefore you can save. Per capita income is increasing, definitely the savings will increase. Financial intermediaries, they are one of the important enablers of savings in India, and therefore all 4 will be correct. Okay, so 46, local area banks. So local area banks, they were set up for the first time in 1966 when the government felt that banking penetration was low. To cater to small regions, they were in fact operationalized. That local area banks only slowly graduated in the form of regional rural banks over a period of time. Okay, so first it is registered as a public limited company under the Companies Act of 1956. Right, now let me say a State Bank of India is a bank. Is that a public limited company? Yes. Is it registered under the Companies Act, State Bank of India? Yes, it's a normal. Likewise, local area banks also should be. They should also first of all, they will not be. See, understand, enna pannuna, ultimately, for example, they will not be listed. The thing is, even though or local area bank என்றது first time நீங்க வந்து ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் ஆரம்பிக்கிறாங்கன்னா கூட The thing is that if they have to renew that, for example, let's say a Bandhan Bank, recently they were banks, not only for local area banks, for all banks, the main condition from the RBI is that the first of all should be, they can be established as a company, but they should be graduated into a public limited company in a period of 5 years. For 5 years, majority of the stake has to be out in the open. Local area banks also at that time, munadi public shares, that is listed we today have the local area. These are all cooperative banks. Okay, so cooperative banks, this membership is not open to all. Membership on the particular cooperative unit. But local area banks, we RRBs set pannom. Seringa? Appo the RRBs set panrappa, let's say it was established as a company itself. Anyone could take a license and establish a company which can cater to 1, 2, 3, maximum 3 districts. Or 3 districts தாண்டி அவங்க ஆப்ரேட் பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படின்ற மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. That is why the name local was given to them, right? So one important condition was that they have to be registered as a public limited company. No company will become in the first initial time a public limited company. ஆனா என்ன பண்ணுனா அந்த லைசென்ஸ் ஹோல்ட் ஆகணும்னா this was a condition on them. This kind of word has been utilized even now. இன்னைக்கு நீங்க see, you have to register yourself as a public limited company under the Companies Act. This is the eligibility of opening a local area bank. Up on the first 5 years, no one can business every hour. If you cannot become, then your license will be revoked. Frida. Up enna meaning adu? So anal this is one of the condition. They have jurisdiction over a maximum of 1 district. This is incorrect. Maximum of 3 districts. They are eligible to be included in the 2nd schedule of the RBI Act. Yes. Mostly local area banks may not be scheduled at that time, but they are also eligible to be. So 1 alone is, so the answer will be only 2. Right. Which one of the following mechanisms, if undertaken, will indiscriminately affect all sectors of the economy? என்ன மாதிரி ஆக்ஷன் எடுத்தா எல்லா செக்டர்ஸும் பாதிக்கப்படும், இதுதான் கேள்வி. Right. Selective credit control. See, you know what selective credit control is? This is qualitative control. Right? So qualitative control அப்படினாலே what are the ways in which we can qualitatively control money? First, margins, actions like prompt corrective actions. இதெல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா broad guidelines. For example, today the government comes up, the RBI comes up with a prompt corrective action guideline where the threshold of NPA has increased. NPA ல 6% மேலே NPA வருதுன்னு சொன்னாலே உங்களுக்கு risk threshold 1 ன்னு இருந்ததா இனிமேல் 5 ன்னு மாத்திட்டாங்க. Do you think that this kind of action is going to affect all sectors of the economy? No, it may affect 1 or 2 particular bank. It may not affect all. Typically, qualitative controls it may or may not have that kind of effect. But margin requirement is also a part of the selective control, credit control or qualitative control. Margin requirement na enna? For example, a person has to take 15% minimum as margin after the loan. Loan off takes that kind of a margin. In the margin, for example, let's say, நம்ம 15% இனிமேல் மார்ஜின் கொண்டு வரணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டோம் ஆட்டோமொபைல் லோனுக்கு. இந்த மார்ஜினை சேஞ்ச் பண்றதுனால எல்லாமே அஃபெக்ட், மொத்த டோட்டல் வால்யூம் ஆஃப் மணி அஃபெக்ட் ஆக போதா? நோ. டேக்கர்ஸ் ஃபார் ஆட்டோமொபைல் லோன்ஸ் ஒன்லி வில் பி அஃபெக்டட். புரியுதா? அப்போ எது ரொம்ப இன்டிஸ்கிரிமினேட்டாக அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணும்? குவான்டிடேட்டிவ் கண்ட்ரோல். வாட் இஸ் குவான்டிடேட்டிவ் கண்ட்ரோல்? ரெப்போ ரேட். ரெப்போ ரேட் பண்ணா throughout the entire economy's money supply is going to be affected, isn't it? Bank rate affected, CRR affected. You take any money supply. So quantitative controls only will have an overreaching impact and can indiscriminately affect all sectors. அது நீங்க பார்க்க கூடாது. Indiscriminately affect all sectors of the economy. Not asking about the social sectors or the demography பத்தி கேட்கலையே நம்ம. Rich or poor doesn't matter. Sectors of the economy, any sector, real sector, financial sector. See, நம்ம எக்கானமியை பொறுத்த அளவுக்கு ரியல் செக்டர், எக்கனாமி, ஃபினான்ஷியல் செக்டர்னு பிரிக்கலாம். அப்போ ஃபினான்ஸ்னா இன்டர்மீடியட்ஸ் எல்லாம், ரியல் செக்டர்ஸ்னா நீங்கள் நானும், ரைட், கவர்மெண்ட் எல்லாம். இந்த இப்போ செலக்டிவ் கண்ட்ரோல் கிரெடிட்லாம் யாரை பாதிக்கும்னா ஃபினான்ஷியல் செக்டரை பாதிக்கும், நம்மளை பாதிக்காமல் இருக்கலாம். அந்த குவான்டிடேட்டிவ் கண்ட்ரோல் தான் எல்லாரையும் பாதிக்கும். அதனால therefore the answer will be B. The most appropriate will be B. Okay. Household consumption this survey. The difference in average monthly per capita consumption expenditure between rural and urban has widened in 2023 compared to 2011. This is an incorrect statement. I think in 2018, UPSC had asked about a particular survey, right? Or ஏதோ ஒரு சர்வே பற்றி கேட்டிருந்தாங்க. அதனால சம் சர்வேஸ் may ask அந்த வருஷம் வந்து இந்த சர்வேலேருந்து ஏதாவது டேட்டா மாதிரி ட்ரெண்டு மாதிரி கேட்கலாம். ஸோ லாஸ்ட் இயர் we had this 67th round of survey. This was in news particularly because every 5 years the Ministry of Statistics, NSO, will be conducting this particular survey. அதில் 2017-18 வந்த அந்த சர்வே வந்து ட்ராப் பண்ணிட்டாங்க due to some inconsistencies in data ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அதுக்கப்புறம் 2011க்கு அப்புறம் more than 11 years later we have this survey. Okay, so now in comparison 2011 compare பண்றப்ப இங்க widen ஆயிருக்கானா? No, it has not widened. Okay, Sikkim has the highest monthly per capita expenditure அப்படின்றது. Yes, this is for states. I think it should have been in urban areas. For state in பார்க்கணும், because union territory நீங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதில் சண்டிகர் அதெல்லாம் வந்துடுவாங்க. Okay, so generally state wise பார்க்குறப்ப this statement is correct. Rural urban difference in average MPCE is the highest in Meghalaya. This is also a statement, this is a correct statement. இந்த மாதிரிலாம் ரொம்ப ஃபேக்ட்ஸ்லாம் கேட்கலாம். ஸோ மேபி இஃப் யூ நோ chance, there could be chance, but we are just exposing this particular data to you. Okay, so 2 is correct, 3 is correct. Expenditure on food and has gradually declined, and the share of non-food item has increased. This is also a correct statement, right? Expenditure as a total, அதாவது food expenditure. See, the thing is, when the income level is increasing, let's say ஒரு டைமில் உங்கள்கிட்ட 1000 ரூபா தான் இன்கம் இருக்குது, ஃபுட்டுக்கு எவ்வளோ ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறீங்கன்றதுக்கும் இன்றைக்கி 10,000 ரூபா ஸ்பெண்ட் இருக்கிறப்போ ஃபுட்டுக்கு எவ்வளோ ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறப்ப, when you had 1000 with you, you'll be spending 100 rupee on food. When you have 10,000, you'll be spending 500 on food. அவ்வளோதான். ஸோ as a percentage that will be reducing. That's a law of economy. Okay, ஸோ அதில் பார்க்குறப்ப that trend is also visible in India, that overall share of food expenditure as the share of the total expenditure கம்மியாக இருக்கு, declined in comparison. அதாவது இந்த household consumption surveyயும் பழைய சர்வேயும் கம்பேர் பண்ணுறப்ப this has been the trend, has gradually declined. This is also correct. Okay, so 2, 3 and 4 are correct statements. These are all plain facts or findings in this particular consumption expenditure survey. Okay. Okay, so it's a very easy statement, right? So agreement on agriculture, agreement on phytosanitary measures, peace clause. So peace clause it's related to agriculture, அதுக்குள்ள வர்றதுதான். So food subsidy எல்லாம் ரொம்ப important on our class. So everything is related to WTO. All right. All customers of commercial banks, including the branches of foreign banks, are insured by the deposit DICGC. This is correct. So DICGC, any company which is having a banking license, they will be covered under the DICGC. It may be a payment bank, local area bank, or anything which is having a banking license will be covered. Okay, so all account holders pay a small amount, sum of premium to DICGC during the time of opening. This is incorrect. Okay, so who pays? For all the account holders, who is paying the premium? The banks will have to pay a premium. Okay, so this statement, if it has been flipped, so for all account holders, banks pay a small amount அப்படின்னு இருந்துச்சுன்னா the statement would have been, the correct answer would have been A. But here, 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. So the option C. Right, 71. So now coming to near and so nominal exchange rate abdina $1 is equal to 80 rupees. அப்படினு வெச்சுப்போம். இதுதான் nominal exchange rate. Nominal effective exchange rate na enna அப்படினா nominal effective exchange rate is going to take in the nominal exchange rate of Indian rupee, how it has performed against a basket of currency. For example, நம்ம இப்போ 42 basket currency வச்சிருக்கோம், 6 basket currency வச்சிருக்கோம். Against this basket, how it has performed. So we are having an index, a ratio in such a way that if this near, see, any index will not have a value or a unit assigned to it. நல்லா ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஒரு இண்டெக்ஸ்னு சொன்னாலே it will just be numbers, plain numbers தான் இருக்கும். அந்த நம்பர்ஸ்க்கு பின்னாடி எந்த யூனிட்டும் உங்களால் போட முடியாது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சென்செக்ஸ் எவ்வளோ அப்படின்னா 72,000 75,000 தான் சொல்ல முடியும். 75,000 வாட் தெரியாது. ரைட்? ஸோ வாட் இஸ் தி இன்ஃப்ளேஷன் இண்டெக்ஸ்? சிபிஐ என்ன அப்படின்னா சிபிஐ இஸ் 120 பாயிண்ட்ஸ் அப்படிதான் வரும். ஸோ எனி இண்டெக்ஸ் வில் ஜஸ்ட் பி merely a number only. Near is also such a number. But here nominal exchange rate is not a number. It is a value. It is a unit. $1 is equal to 80 rupees. And a near is an index. How is this index created? Through a complex method create பண்ணிருக்கோம், such that if it is 100 in the base year, இந்த வருஷம் நம்ம கிரியேட் பண்ணிருக்கோம் அந்த இண்டெக்ஸ் 100. அடுத்த வருஷம் இந்த நீர்னா நிறைய இந்த கம்பேர் ஆல் திஸ் நெர் வித் ஆல் தி அதர் கரன்சிஸ். இஃப் திஸ் பிகம்ஸ் 110, இது எப்போ வரும் அப்படின்னா 100லேருந்து 110 எப்போ வரும்னா if Indian rupee has been strong against all currencies, then the near will increase from 100 to 110. ஆனா nominal exchange rate will increase from $1 to say $1.80 இருந்து நாளைக்கு 100 ரூபாயா மாறுதுன்னு வெச்சுப்போமே. What does it indicate? It indicates that we are weakening or becoming weaker or depreciating now. So near can increase only when currency had appreciated. புரியுதா? இது ஒண்ணு மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Therefore, an increase in the nominal exchange rate may result in increased trade competitiveness. இப்போ nominal exchange rate increase ஆகுதுன்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? 80 இருந்து என்ன ஆகுது? 100 மாறுதுன்னு அர்த்தம். அப்படிதானே? From 80 it has become 100. Okay, so an increase in the nominal exchange rate may result in increased trade competitiveness. Yes. An increase in nominal effective exchange rate may result in decreased trade competitiveness. Right. இப்போ பாருங்க, increase in நீர். புரியுதா? நீர் என்ன இருக்கு? 100ல இருந்து 110 மாறி இருக்குன்னா என்ன இருக்கு? அப்ரிஷியேஷன் ஆயிருக்குன்னு அர்த்தம். அப்ரிஷியேஷன் ஆயிருந்தா இது என்னவா இருக்கணும்? அப்ரிஷியேட் ஆயிருந்தாலே நம்ம ட்ரேட் காம்படிட்டிவ்னஸ் என்ன ஆகலாம்? குறையலாம்னு தானே அர்த்தம். So this is also correct. Real exchange rate increase ஆகுதுன்னு வச்சுப்போம். Right? Real exchange rate increase ஆகுது. That is also ரியலும் ரியரும் ஒன்று தான். ரியல்ன்றது it has been adjusted for inflation அர்த்தம். ஸோ இதை நம்ம பார்க்குறப்ப என்ன ஆகுது? 80 ரூபாய் இருந்தது 100 ரூபாய் மாறி இருக்கு, இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆயிருக்குன்னா that also indicates depreciation. So the answer will be all three. Okay. Right, question number 72. Rajasthan is the largest producer of millets in India. This is a correct statement. Frida, this is a correct statement. Has the largest area under millet cultivation and also the highest yield per hectare. Right, so okay. So inga da incorrect. It has, see, more than 21% of இது வந்து it comes from Rajasthan in India. அதில் 36% of area under millet cultivation belongs to Rajasthan. But how much is it actually giving? அப்படின்னு சொன்னா 26% of total produce. What does it mean? Yield per hectare is a little bit lower. Yield per hectare நிறைய இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொன்னா definitely 36 ஏரியா இருக்குன்னா 40க்கு மேல வந்திருக்கணும்ல ஷேர், அப்படி இல்லை. So that is one of the main problems of this. So therefore 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. So answer is C. So it's just about talking about a central sector scheme. Question number 78 la 100% funding from the government of India. யாருக்கு இந்த சப்போர்ட் போகுதுன்னா it's an income support scheme given to whom? Farmer families. அதெல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டோம். அது யாருக்கு? What is this scheme? See, PM Kisan. சரியா? PM Kisan. This is the scheme which gives 6,000 rupee per farmer family. சரியா? Per farmer family இந்த மாதிரி கொடுக்குறாங்க. So all this is the expansion of this particular scheme. சரியா? So PM Kisan. Vibrant Village program 2022-23 budgetல mainly to cover the border areas, border villages of Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. For that we brought a Vibrant Villages program mainly to develop or improve the quality of life in this areas. Okay, so இது எதுக்காகனா, even though the word is different, Vibrant Villages, the main intention of it is to strengthen border security. சரியா? ஸோ அதான் இதோட இது. ஸோ PM Kisan Mandan யோஜனான்றது இட்ஸ் அன் ஓல்ட் ஏஜ் பென்ஷன் மென்ட் ஃபார் மான்தன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாலே ஓல்ட் ஏஜ் பென்ஷன் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் ரிலேட்டட் டு பென்ஷன். ரைட்? உடான் ஸ்கீம்ன்றது ஏர்வேஸ். ஓகே, ஃபைன். So question number 79. Only the central government taxes on crude oil. Only the central government has the power to levy excise duties on crude oil products. Right? State will not put excise. The excise, state excise is only meant for liquor. Okay. So what state can do is VAT. Okay. So excise என்றது manufacturing. See, excise is mainly related to the manufacture of a product. Okay. So constitution union listல தான் என்ன இருக்குன்னா, the power to levy an excise duty on tobacco or any other product is exclusively with the center. That is why excise duty என்றது central excise duties தான் சொல்லுவாங்க. State excise duty is only for liquor and opium and there are other narcotics it can be, but it's mainly associated with liquor. Okay, so this is correct. Prices of petrol and diesel are not government determined but completely deregulated. This is correct. Special additional excise duty can be higher than basic excise duties on petroleum. So what is SAED? So this is what is the commonly known as the windfall tax. Okay, so windfall tax ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. So அது ஒரு excise dutyல additional duty-ஆ போடுவாங்க. For example, 1.2 rupees per liter அப்படின்றது பேசிக் எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டினா 12 ரூபா per லிட்டர்ன்றத ஸ்பெஷல் எக்ஸைஸ் டியூட்டியா போடலாம். அந்த அளவுக்குலாம் போட்டிருக்கோம் லாஸ்ட் 2 yearsல. And therefore this statement is also correct. Therefore the answer will be all 3. All these statements are correct. So question number 97. Fertilizer sector is the least weighted sector among the 8 core industries in India. Yes. So 8 core industry, the highest weightage is for petroleum products. Very good. So petroleum products, then comes electricity, then coal, abdillam poirum. Okay, steel, fine. So DAP, muriate of potash and urea are subsidized based on the nutrient based subsidy program. No, nutrient based subsidy is only for the PNK. Right? Urea is excluded from it. And urea has also not been completely deregulated. It has been government determined. So yeah, it is administered by the government. But where nonetheless, diammonium phosphate and muriate of potash has been deregulated, which means that it is அதான் அதில் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா சப்சிடி சில கிரேட் பேஸ்ட் ஆன் த கிரேட் பிஎன்கேங்கிற கிரேடில் எந்த கிரேட் அதிகமாக இருக்குது, ஆர் ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சர்டன் டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபர்டிலைசர்ஸ் வில் கம் வித் பி என்ஃபோர்ஸ்ட் ஆன் ஃபோர்ட்டிஃபைட் வித் மைக்ரோநியூட்ரியன்ஸ், அந்த மாதிரி ஜிங்க் மாலிபடினம் இதெல்லாம் போடுறவங்களுக்கு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா சப்சிடி மாதிரி கொடுத்து நியூட்ரியன்ட் பேஸ்டு சப்சிடி கவர்மெண்ட் இஸ் ப்ரொவைடிங். ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் இன்கரெக்ட். Fertilizer subsidy is the second largest subsidy after food provided by the government of India. That is also correct. Last year, around 2.1 lakh crore was the food subsidy of government. 1.4 lakh crore was the fertilizer subsidy of the government. And therefore, that is also correct. So 2 is incorrect, 3 is correct. Therefore, 1 and 3. So with this, we are concluding the economic questions.
So, the red soil of India has been formed due to the weathering of. This is a very simple question. Now, the answer is C, that is crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall. Now, the logic is why crystalline? Why red soil is formed due to the weathering of crystalline rocks? Because crystalline rocks has the ability to withstand physical weathering, which means it won't be readily available to become a laterite soil, right? So it can withstand physical weathering, but it would generally undergo chemical weathering, which is very much required in the formation of red soil. Oxidation is very much required in the formation of red soil. So chemical weathering of crystalline rocks would lead to formation of red soil. And coming back to igneous rocks, why igneous rocks are very essential for the formation of red soil? Because of the composition. Because igneous rocks has a very unique composition. It contains iron-bearing minerals that includes pyroxenes, olivine, amphibole, right? So this unique chemical combination, when it is weathered, it leads to oxidation of such chemicals and formation of hematite-like compounds, which is nothing but iron oxide, right? So that gives the red color of red soil also, right? So that's why igneous rocks. Now, why low rainfall? A very basic logic. If it is in the region of high rainfall, then all the nutrients of the soil would have been leached, and all that is left would be laterite soil. That is a feature of Western Ghats, right? So since there is low rainfall, not much amount of nutrients are leached. Now, when we talk about the fertility feature of red soil, it lacks in nitrogen, it lacks potassium, it lacks phosphorus and potassium also. There may be little content of potassium, but phosphorus and nitrogen are completely lacking in red soil. So for it to become viable for farming, fertilizers like urea, diammonium phosphate, muriate of potash, all these fertilizers must be added to it. So the answer is C. These clouds are usually formed in association with large mammatous clouds. They frequently have very dark bases. Usually rain-bearing clouds would have dark bases, right? So that must be kept in mind, and are accompanied by low ragged clouds underneath, which may or may not merge with the base. These clouds are known for producing hail and are often associated with tornadoes, creating turbulence and severe weather conditions. Now, to understand clouds, there are 3 stratum for clouds. The top stratum, or the cloud that are present at the higher altitudes, are also called as cirroclouds, and the clouds which are found at the middle layer are called alto clouds, and at the bottom, stratoclouds. The cumulonimbus occupies all 3 altitudes, and the rain-bearing clouds, this lower region of cumulonimbus is generally dark. And what is mammatous? When this region has some pouch-like features, when we look at the clouds, if there are pouch-like features hanging at the bottom of the cumulonimbus clouds, those are called as mammatous clouds, right? So these are the 3 important stratums present in the clouds, and each represent a different physical feature. For example, the cumulus clouds are a little bit bumpy. Stratus clouds are in this format. They are divided into 3 or 4 stratums. So that is the feature of stratus clouds. So when we come to this question, the answer is cumulonimbus clouds, very simply, because mammatous clouds would form at the bottom of cumulonimbus clouds, and these are rain-bearing clouds as well. Which of the following factors affects the temperature of a place? Now, this is a good old previous year question. What about latitude? Yes, because we all know that the sun moves up and down towards the north, towards the south. It plays around in these latitudes, right? The region where there is high insolation of solar energy, there will be high heating or high temperature. Therefore, obvious. Latitude is right for obvious reasons. Now coming back to altitude, yes, again, because higher the altitude, lower the temperature, right? So that is also one of the factor. Continentality, if the region is very closer to the oceans generally have a moderating effect on the temperature, because for example in regions which are closer to the marine effect, the temperatures are moderate, the temperature range is very low. But when we talk about core regions or continental regions like Delhi or let's say Mongolia, the temperature range is very high. The land heats up quick and cools down quickly. But the oceans, the water doesn't have the same physical feature. It warms very slowly and cools very slowly. So it has a moderating effect on the temperature. What about ocean currents? We obviously know that there is Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream picks up the warmth present in the oceans, and it transports this warm water to the northwestern part of Europe, which heats up the northwestern part of Europe, usually United Kingdom, and creates rainfall there, right? And that is the feature of warm current. And similarly, there are cold currents like Humboldt current, Peruvian current, which is also known as Peruvian current, and this cools up the air present in the atmosphere. And we also know that ocean currents have a very important role to play in the formation of deserts, right? So ocean currents definitely play an important role. Now coming back to slopes, there are different aspects of looking at the influence of slopes on temperature. If the slopes are south facing, we have sun here, the sun's rays would directly fall upon the south facing slopes, and these are warmed up much faster. Now what about the north facing slopes? They would usually get lower sunlight. Therefore, these are not much as warm as the south facing slopes. This is completely altered when we come to the southern hemisphere, right? And also, when the slopes are much steeper, the temperature range is much higher. It quickly heats up and quickly cools down. And there is one more thing, there is temperature inversion. When there is slope, when the temperature is cooled, this region gets cooled up and the cold air mass comes down. Usually when we talk about altitude, when we go to higher altitude, the air mass is colder. But in this feature, the cold air mass would come down and the bottom region is now very cold, upper region is comparatively warmer, which means this is an inverted form of temperature effect. That is why it is called temperature inversion, right? So all 5 features are right. Now, which of the measures given below are, consider the following statements with reference to India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral highway. So it is a flagship program when we talk about India's Look East and now this Act East policy to connect with the ASEAN countries, right? Myanmar is considered as the gateway to the southeastern countries. They are very essential, they are very good trade partners. India was very close to signing the RCEP agreements, but it has not yet signed it. Now, it connects More in Manipur with Mae Sot in Thailand via Myanmar. It is absolutely right. It is part of India's vision to link Atlantic Ocean in the west to Pacific in the east. Now, what does Atlantic Ocean has anything to do with IMT? IMT is completely on the eastern side of India, right? It connects Manipur to Myanmar and then to Thailand. So, what is the role of Atlantic Ocean in this? There is a role. In fact, our External Affairs Minister in the recent Raisina dialogue that took place in Tokyo has said that connecting Atlantic to Pacific is one of the important notions of the government, with India at the center point. Connecting Atlantic via Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, with India as a main player. How? Yes, there are so many transportation connectivity policies that are brought out by India with the partnership of some other countries. Let's start with Indo-Middle East Economic Corridor. Do you remember that? Yes. It connects the West Asian region or Middle East region with the Europe. Yes. So IMEC. Now when you talk about International North-South Transport Corridor, right, it connects the Central Asian regions as well. The next is IMT. That is India, Myanmar, Thailand Trilateral Highway, and there is Kaladan multimodal project also. And the fourth one is Chennai Vladivostok connectivity. Chennai Vladivostok connectivity. This would give access to India to the polar regions of the Russia. Polar regions are generally now under the influence of climate change. The glaciers are melting down. Rich, rare earth materials are opening up to get mined, right, for renewable energy projects. So this project would also gain significance, and all four of these projects would together play a very important role in connecting Atlantic to Pacific via Indian Ocean with India as an important player, right. So, and the third one, the Trilateral Highway project and the Kaladan multimodal transport project are viewed as important components of New Delhi's Act East policy. Absolutely. So all three statements are right. The Karni crossing recently seen in news. Israel-Palestine issue has been very cropping up very frequently in news. Now this is Israel, this is Gaza, and this is Egypt. There has been frequent bombings using civilians as their barriers. So these things have been happening frequently. So there were so many places in news with respect to Israel and Gaza. Very importantly, the crossings. You would have heard about Rafah. When the civilians are pushed by the military action of Israel, these civilians would generally come and hover around this region, that is Rafah. And when people are in Rafah, they need humanitarian assistance too. They need food, they need clothing, basic necessities are required. And all these basic necessities are brought inside Gaza through different crossings. One such crossing is Karni. There are so many crossings in use, you may keep them in mind. There is a high potential of these questions being asked. So, Karni crossing is one such region present in this place. Right? So, the answer is passage point of food items and fuel into the Gaza Strip. Absolutely. B. Now there are other such crossings as well. In this region there is Karam Shalom. Karam Shalom crossing, and in this region there is Aries crossing, right? Just keep these crossings in mind. It may have a potential to be asked in UPSC. With reference to the temperate continental climate, which are also called as steppes, consider the following statements. Now it has less maritime influence. Think about the steppes, the region. You would have by-hearted the map that is present in our G.C. Leong books, right? Steppes, prairies, pampas, all these are temperate grasslands, right? So these are present at the middle of the continent. So in Mongolia, in Russia, in China, in partially European countries. Sorry. Oh, right. Right. So it has less maritime influence, obviously, because it is very, its presence is deep inside the continents. Therefore, it has less maritime influence. Yes, it has the presence of deciduous trees which shed their leaves in the cold and dry seasons. Generally, steppes are grasslands. It doesn't have presence of trees much. Therefore, this statement is wrong. It doesn't have the presence of deciduous trees. Thirdly, it has the presence of local winds like Fawn and Chinook. Now, Fawn and Chinook are famously called as the leeward winds, right? Think about the Rockies that is present in the North American continent, right? So during the winter there will be huge amount of glacier or ice caps that are present over the Rockies, and Chinook as a leeward wind is a dry wind. It warms and thaws these ice present on the above the Rockies, and this ice, this thawed ice, forms the water content that is very much required for the formation of prairies. In a similar fashion, the ice caps that are accumulated above the Alps, these are thawed to give water, sufficient water for the formation of steppes. Therefore, 3 is also the right option. So only 2 will be the answer. Yardangs, with respect to geomorphology, by various physical elements like water, wind, due to these influence, there are certain landforms formed in the desert region. Let us consider if there is a hard rock and soft rock sandwiched within each other. These are hard rocks, these are soft rocks, hard, soft, alternative layers of hard and soft rocks. Now what wind does is, wind erodes these soft rocks region, and when we look at the cross-sectional region, it would look something like this. These are the eroded or weathered soft rock region, and these are the unweathered hard rock regions. Now, this kind of landform that is formed in the deserts due to the action of wind are called as yardangs. So, it is an erosional feature made by wind. Air glow and auroras. You would have heard about auroras, right? It is very famous. It is present in the polar regions, right? So we have aurora borealis, we have aurora australis. These are famous. But what about air glow? Yes, in fact, auroras are present only in the polar regions, as we know, and it takes place due to the solar wind, the magnetic influence of solar wind, right? So the particles would get inside the magnetic field. It would generally come into contact with the particles present in the atmosphere, and it gets excited. Thus, auroras are formed. But what is the case of air glow? Can we see it? Is it visible? In fact, it is at the daytime, at the night time it may be visible, but during the daytime it is not visible, right? In fact, it is not clearly visible to the naked eye. It is formed due to the interaction between the atmospheric particles. It is formed due to the interaction of atmospheric particles with sunlight. Generally, atmosphere பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம ஸ்பேஸ்ல இருந்து எர்த்தை பார்க்கும்போது இந்த ஏர் க்ளோ வந்து நம்ம கண்ணுக்கு தெரியும். பட் எர்த்ல இருந்து பார்க்கும்போது it will not be visible, right? But during night time it may be visible, right? Yes, so this is wrong. While auroras can be formed in poles, air glow is emitted across all latitudes. Yes. While air glow is caused by ordinary solar radiation, auroras can be caused by magnetic storms. That is the main difference between auroras and air glow, right? Air glow, it is caused due to the solar radiation, and air glow is formed due to general atmospheric particles and the solar radiation, whereas auroras can be formed by magnetic influence, right? So only 2. Right. So these ports are very famously in use nowadays because we have certain relation with Oman to use a particular port, and that is obviously Duqm port. And Oman has one more important port you would have heard about. It is an enclave. It is known as Musandam. Just an extra information, that is, we all know this peninsula, right? This is Oman. Right? This is Oman, and in this region where UAE takes the predominant amount of space, there is a small region that Oman occupies. That is Musandam, right? When Musandam comes in your question paper, don't get shocked. It is simply an Oman enclave, right? Fine. Murmansk port. Now, this kind of name, NSK, something that we are not familiar with. These are generally in the region of Central Asia or the region between Europe and Russia, right? But you may get confused. It may be Ukraine or not, but unfortunately, Murmansk is present in Russia, right? It is not in Ukraine. Now, what about Port Said? Very famous, the recent Suez Canal incidents, right? So, if this is Europe, if this is Suez Canal, Port Said is very closer to Suez Canal, but not in Syria, it is in Egypt, right? So, 1 is wrong, 2 and 3 are right, only 2. Going to the next question. Diego Garcia, since Maldives is very much in news, Maldives is in news for all insignificant reasons, and Mauritius is in news. Why? Because Maldives wants us out, and as an alternative, we are moving towards Mauritius, Agalela Islands. We want to set up air fleet, aircraft carriers, where? In Agalela Islands. So, not just Maldives and Mauritius, this makes all the islands present in the Indian Ocean region important. Talk about Seychelles, Diego Garcia, Chagos Archipelago, Assumption Island, Reunion Island, Mayotte, Comoros, all these islands are present in the Indian Ocean region, right? They may ask you to arrange them from north to south, which is definitely the most bad situation any UPSC aspirant could be put in, right? So, coming to this question, Diego Garcia Atoll is located in which of the following places? Chagos Archipelago. These are British Indian territory, simply British territory. People from India, Africa would be transported to this region for their own agricultural activities, right? So, A is the right answer. With reference to the distribution of volcanoes in the world, consider the following statements. There are so many volcanic eruptions year after year. Mount Ruang is the most recent volcanic eruption. What about Mount Cameroon? It is an active volcano in East African Rift Valley. If you have a basic knowledge about the map, you would obviously know where Cameroon is located. It is definitely not an East African region. If this is Africa, poor Africa, sorry, this is East African Rift Valley, Cameroon would be located somewhere here. Nigeria, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and all these regions would be present in the West African region. And East African Rift Valley has nothing to do with it, so obviously statement 1 is wrong. Mount Ruang is a stratovolcano located in Indonesia. That is right, it is the most recent incident of volcanic eruption. Stratovolcano is nothing but strata means layers, right? So when the volcano erupts and the lava is flown over the existing volcano, and again new eruption occurs, it forms a new layer, again new layer. This is nothing but stratovolcano. There are different layers of volcano which are arranged one above the other. Now once it erupts again, it erupts with a huge erosion, right? It will be not like something, generally what we would look into the YouTube videos, like the magma would flow gently, disturbing no one. The eruption would not be like that, right? In case of stratovolcanoes, the eruption would be huge and violent, erupting pyroclastic materials, right? So 2 is right. Barren Island, this is a previous year question. Barren Island in is India's only active volcano, which is located in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, yes. So only 2. Rafah crossing, as I explained before, Rafah crossing is somewhere between Egypt and Israel, right? We have, again, I'm drawing this diagram again. This is Israel, this is Gaza Strip, and Rafah is right here. And here we have Egypt, right? So, Egypt and Israel, this is where people who faced violence from Israeli military launched in this region of Rafah. Even US, who generally would support Israel in its activities, have negated this. They are not in support of attacking Rafah, right? Yes. So, moving on to the next question. This is the most traditional question asked in with respect to geography. The water content present in these things, we need to arrange it in increasing order, which means from the lowest content to the highest content. So, what would be the order? we should not have any doubt on this. This is the largest holder of water. So obviously இது வந்து கடைசியா தான் வரணும், which means it is in 3 options. What about lakes and atmosphere and streams and rivers? Rivers may seem to have more amount of water, but when we compare it to atmosphere, atmosphere has the larger amount of water. So 4 must come before 3, right? 4, 3. Where is 4, 3? இங்க இருக்கு, இங்க இருக்கு. So this is eliminated. Coming to this 2, lakes. Lakes generally have more water than atmosphere, right? So in fact, B is the right answer. 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Lakes have much more amount of water. தப்பா போட்டீங்களா? Okay. Fine. So 4, 3, 2, 1 is the right answer. Yeah, these are some specific names that are present in your 11th standard geography book. You should have revised it. What are Karivas or Karevas, however you pronounce it? Now these are glacial clays. Glacial clays, fertile regions. So when we talk about glacier, it has no job to do with deserts. It is obviously present in Kashmiri Himalayas, foothills of Kashmiri Himalayas, right? So these glacial clays, when they melt, what remains do they leave? Have you heard about moraines? Some extra data. Karivas are, mostly present along with moraines, right? Fine. What are barchans? Yes, they are found in desert due to the erosion by wind. It has nothing to do with Himalayan range, right? Bugyals, and bugyals are like steppes. Bugyas are grassland meadows that are present in Uttarakhand-like regions, right? These are pasture lands. அதாவது ஆடு மாடு மேய்க்கிறவங்க எல்லாம் ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட சீசன்ல they would take their herds to this region and மேய விடுவாங்க, right? So bugyals are definitely not in Great Indian Desert. These are basic information that is present in your 11th standard geography book, which is very essential for UPSC. Please do revise them. So the right answer is 1 only. Tobacco cultivation. See, tobacco is a type of crop which requires frost-free climate, medium amount of rainfall, right? So 100 to 120 days of frost-free climate, definitely yes. It grows in warm climate with rich and well-drained soil. That is also one of the features. Just go and search the features of tobacco in Wikipedia. All the information will be present there. No need for going to any specific website. All these will be present in general sites like Wikipedia, right? So both the statements are right. In India, Gujarat is the largest producer of tobacco. There may be a confusion that Andhra Pradesh should be the largest producer of tobacco. But unfortunately, Gujarat is the largest producer of tobacco. But one thing about Andhra Pradesh is that Andhra Pradesh holds this particular body, Tobacco Board. Right. So Tobacco Board is indeed located in Andhra Pradesh. This is a statutory body. It is created under Tobacco Board Act 1975. And it is under which ministry? Obviously, which ministry would be holding this body? Ministry of Commerce, yes. If we were to analyze the previous year question, such kind of bodies are being asked. Turmeric board, spice board, these are asked again and again. So it is essential to know such details, right? So all statements are right. Now coming to this kind of questions, when you look at these kind of questions, please notice how or what or which statements are right, right? Because if you ignore this, you may assume that 1 is for 1, 2 is for 2. இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம assume பண்ணி போறதுக்கான வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு, right? Yes, so all 4 are right. Which of the following are not a minor mineral? How do we differentiate between a minor mineral and a major mineral? We have a guide. We have MMDR Act, Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act. UPSC had this tradition of asking details that are present in MMDR frequently, year after year. Either minor mineral, either major mineral, like mining details, auction details. These are present in MMDR Act, right? So frequent, year after year, UPSC has this tradition of asking questions like Buddhism, Jainism, varsha varsham kepanga, WTO pati varsha varsham kepanga, nuclear energy pati varsha varsham kepanga. So UPSC ku romba pudicha favorite topics. Questions would be there year after year. So we cannot afford to leave these areas, right? Fine. So which of the following is not a minor mineral? Minor mineral na idhula edhu irukadu? Is gold a minor mineral? Is sand a minor mineral? Previous year question. It is a minor mineral, right? Sand is a minor mineral. Bentonite is a minor mineral. Quartzite, chalcedony or chalcedony. These will be present in the schedule of MMDR Act. Go check them. Other than that, gold, iron, coal, these are major minerals, right? So what is the difference between minor and major mineral? Idukana mining process different irukum. Minor minerals, the entire regulation and overseeing would be with the state government, whereas major minerals it would be with central government, right? So 2, 3 and 4. Albright, factual statement, you would cut this and move on to the next thing. So the answer is it is a meteorite. It is a meteorite. There is a particular term in news, acrondite. These meteors are, in news recently. Chondrite and achondrite meteorites. The difference is that chondrite are formed millions and millions of years ago, and they used to hold the physical properties of rock still. Earth form when it was formed, its structure was completely different. But after so many years, so many processes occurred. Degassing occurred, differentiation occurred, right? Stratification occurred. Layer by layer, the properties marite irundichu. So if the properties are changed, then they are called as achondritic. If the properties are not changed and it still retains the primitive characteristics of the formation, then they are called as chondritic meteorites. Astronomers, people who are interested in space, they would look out for chondritic meteorites. Why? Because it holds the information on how it was formed. Eppadi uruvaayirukkum, adoda primitive details ellame chondritic meteorites kitta irukkum. Right, so they would generally go for chondritic meteorites, but now albright is something that is achondritic, right? So it is a meteorite. Fine. So geography questions are over.